Welcome, everybody, to SteeleWatching, the podcast for Remington Steele fans. I am Eric, and it's going to make me sound psychotic and antisocial to say this, but I'm really getting tired of dealing with people.
Yeah, no, that's valid. That's valid.
Just so fed up with it. I want to just stay at home with my wife, with our dogs, and only deal with the people I want to deal with, when I want to deal with them, in the way I want to deal with them.
I 100% agree with you, and I say this as a teacher. And I'm Sara, and I suggest you talk to the plant lady because she can't stay long.
Oh, catchphrases. Yes.
I know.
One thing you'll learn about me. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
All right. Yes, it is season 4, episode 9, Dancer, Prancer, Donner, and Steele. Now,
Yay.
before we get into this, we have a couple of things. One, going back a ways, and I intended to include this after I found it in a follow-up episode, and I kept forgetting, and then I couldn't find it.
That's some timers.
No, it's going to be all the timers. Going back to corn-fed Steele, you remember the scene where Steele says, "Well, this is the scene where the farmers refused to bid," and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Penny auctions at foreclosed Michigan farms in 1936. Penny auctions, farmers would conspire to offer low bids, resulting in a low return to the creditor. The final buyer would then return the property to the destitute farmer. Hangman nooses served as a warning to squirrely bidders.
Oh, wow.
Haunting photographs from 1936 captures penny auctions at a foreclosed farm in Michigan, one of the most defiant and ingenious acts of resistance to emerge during the Great Depression. When banks repossessed farms after families could no longer meet their mortgage payments, local communities often took matters into their own hands. Farmers would gather in large groups and agree beforehand to bid only pennies on each item, from livestock to land, driving the auction prices down to virtually nothing. The final buyer, usually a trusted neighbor, would then return the property to the original owner, ensuring that the family could remain on their land.
Good for them.
Nooses seen in photographs were not decorative. They served as a chilling warning to outsiders who might attempt to outbid the crowd. These were not empty threats.
Wow.
Solidarity and survival left little room for betrayal. Penny auctions became powerful symbols of rural unity and defiance. They weren't just about saving one farm, but about preserving a way of life, one desperate bid at a time.
That's awesome.
By 1933, more than 200,000 farms were foreclosed across the Midwest, sparking organized movements like the Farmers Holiday Association, which fought to halt foreclosures entirely. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, Steele was not wrong. I mean, he was wrong in this particular situation, but that's the background on this whole thing. So yeah, I intended to bring that up the next episode, and I forgot.
It's okay. I have learned something new, so I appreciate that. That's really cool.
And then we got a fan mail.
Yay!
A listener from Wayland, Michigan. Last 4 digits of their phone number is 1699. That's the only way we have to identify them. Now I'm going to say, I think something got cut off. There may be a character limit to the text messages. So Wayland, Michigan, 1699. If you get a chance, send us the rest of the message.
I want to know.
Send it to us in an email. Go to the website. You can click on the link there. It'll take you and send you. You can send us an email, or you can send it to SteeleWatching@yahoo.com. Anyway, I'm going to read this, and then we'll talk about it. I'm loving the podcast. I found it not too long ago. Welcome. I started at the beginning, and I've just finished listening to your Dreams of Steele episode. I love all the calls for fan fiction, although you don't explicitly say fan fiction in Dreams of Steele. What a brilliant idea to flip whose dreams is whose. And you had mentioned that.
I'm brilliant. It's me.
You're also very humble.
Humble.
When Steele seems to be possibly mixing up his sports, I think that could be exaggerated to comic effect. Could have been. Or he just doesn't know sports.
Or
They missed an opportunity there. In your discussion of Dreams of Steel, you talk about Stephanie Zimbalist swimming in the sea snake pool and how actors have gotten sick swimming in weird water. Well, yes. In fact, in LG in Steele, when Pierce Brosnan was swimming in the LA River, he got Bell's palsy. That's why his face is droopy in the next episode, Small Town Steel. It is also noticeable in places in Molten Steel.
Yeah, so I did notice that and didn't, like, I noticed it in Molten, I think, and I do mention it because I was like, hey, what's going on here? And then a couple of fans told us about it, which we then mentioned like a couple of episodes later. So just keep listening and you'll hear us mention
it. You'll get there,
yes. Yeah, it'll happen.
And he continues, or she continues, or they continue, whoever it is. I have no idea what the source of information is, but somewhere over my 40 years of fandom, that's stuck in my head. Man, do I understand that.
Yeah, no kidding.
There are so many things that I know, but I can't document where I got the information because it's just, like you said, all the timers.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it's not just that. It's just, I've got so much information coming in one side that it falls out the other side to make room for the new stuff. So anyway, where were we? Yes. I have thoroughly enjoyed arguing with my radio on my commute to work.
I love this. I love it because I do the same thing when I listen to other podcasts for like other shows that I like. So I totally know what you mean by that. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. It says you guys make some really good points. You get some stuff very wrong.
I want to know what did we get wrong? Please tell us.
And in parentheses, they add, okay, it's opinions, but you're still wrong. Ha ha ha. Yes.
Sounds like me.
Well, okay. You include some great trivia and you leave out some interesting things. For example, one of Sharon Stone's early roles was the homecoming queen in Steel Crazy After All These Years. You've mentioned that the show likes to recycle character names, but they also like to recycle character actors. Harry Swan from Steel Flying High is Fresco Zapata in High Flying Steel. I find that amusing. Also, Eddie Ho and the Ho got cut off.
Yeah. So, yeah, please send us the rest because I want to know. And I mean, we have mentioned some recycled character actors, and there's one in this episode that we're going to talk about, but I didn't know that about the actor who played Harry Swan / Zapata. That I missed that one. So cool.
Hey, we're not perfect. We're just really, really good.
So please tell us how we're wrong. Tell us where we're wrong. I want to know, like, not because I want to argue, although that's fun, but I love hearing. It's really nice because, like, this is, unless people are giving us feedback, and they do in the Steel Watchers group, which is wonderful, it can feel like a one-way thing where we're talking at other people, and then it that's it. But it's really nice when people engage back and say, I disagree with you, or here's my opinion, because then we get other perspectives that we hadn't considered, and it's just kind of neat to have that two-way communication. So
yes, absolutely. So whether it's this podcast or any other podcast you listen to, send feedback to your hosts.
Send them an email.
They will greatly appreciate it. Send them an email, send them a fan mail through text messages if they have that, whatever. Just communicate with them. Let them know you're listening. That's we see it in the numbers, but it's nice to be able to, quote, put a face, so to speak, to the numbers. So anyway, Dancer, Prancer, Donner, and Steele. First aired December 17, 1985. Was written by Michael Gleason and Elliot Lewis and directed by Christopher Hibbler.
So obviously we know Michael Gleason, but Elliot Lewis, I don't recognize that name. So I'm wondering if it was like a first script that Gleason helped to punch up, because have we seen that name before? I could be wrong.
If I remember correctly, no.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm guessing it was like a first script that Michael Gleason sort of jumped in on because, like, I want to say something right off the hop. I hate Christmas movies. Okay, I hate them. And I know, like, how this is going to sound like I'm a massive Grinch, but hear me out, okay? Because, like,
you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
I also hate Christmas music, and it sort of goes hand in hand as to why, in the sense that I used to work retail,
Well,
worked
I'll agree about Mariah Carey, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I worked retail for 8 years, so it was the same like 12 songs that would get recycled in varying different versions of said 12 songs, and it just my eye would start to twitch, and it just
You look like something out of a horror movie.
Pretty much, like just get. But the reason I hate Christmas, and I say I hate Christmas, that's a bit of a blanket statement. I hate your typical Christmas movies. I don't like the cheese and the corniness and the extreme schmaltziness that tends to accompany Christmas movies.
Okay, now we need to refine that, because I mean, it sounds like you're talking about the Hallmark type Christmas movies, as opposed to things like White Christmas, Holiday Inn.
See, I'm not a fan. Yeah, like that. Not for me. Those ones aren't for me. I just don't like the whole
We are looking for a new co-host for the podcast.
I will say, It's a Wonderful Life gets a pass. I do like that one because I just think the acting in it is so good. It is so good in that movie that I'll give it to It's a Wonderful Life. But for the most part, I don't know. Just that whole everything turns out happy, peace on earth, good. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. But the Christmas movies where stuff goes horribly, horribly wrong, those are my jam. So the weird ones, the ones that are and I know this will engender some argument here, but Die Hard. Die Hard's a Christmas movie. I will die on this hill. And my proof for that, this episode, because this episode predates Die Hard, and it's basically Die Hard. They're in a building. They're being held hostage by a bunch of terrorists who say they want one thing, but actually want another. And one person has to defeat them. That's Die Hard. That literally without Alan Rickman. But Die Hard, Home Alone, which is not really a Christmas when you think about it. He's fending off burglars, but there's Christmas trees, so it counts, right? Disney movie, the one Disney movie that gets a pass, called One Magic Christmas, and only because it's the most depressing kids movie ever invented. I don't know how the scriptwriters got this plot past the studios. Literally, the dad gets shot, the kids get kidnapped and driven off a cliff. Mom ends up thinking her kids and her husband are dead, but she meets Santa, so everything's okay.
Okay, well, first of all, anybody who doesn't like The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, no, I love The Muppets.
Okay.
That one gets a pass because it's funny.
Okay. White Christmas. I mean, you got Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, Vera Ellen we can do without. How can you not
just too
like
happy.
that?
It's just too I don't know. It's just too by the numbers for me. I like it if there's a weird twist. So that's why I like The Muppets, because I actually don't really like A Christmas Carol as a story. I think it's okay, so we're going to have to terrorize rich people into caring? I mean, I guess that works, but at the same time, it seems a little bit of not really the message you want to send. But I do love, the Muppet element makes it awesome. So that one I'll get on board with. Gremlins.
Well, there's a lot of misinformation about A Christmas Carol, because Cratchit was actually... Not Cratchit. Scrooge was actually a much more generous employer than most people believe. But anyway,
yeah.
But I mean,
you've probably never seen this one, but there's a movie called The Ref. Okay, this is another good example of the kind of Christmas movie I like. It's Dennis Leary plays a bank robber who robs a house, and the tripwire goes off, and the alarm goes off, and he has to escape really quickly. But they put up roadblocks, so he can't get out of the town. So he has to take a couple hostage, and it's Annette Bening and Kevin Spacey, and they are pretty much on the point of divorce. They're fighting all the time, and so he takes them hostage in their car and has to play therapist to them throughout the entire movie as he's holding them hostage, and then their in-laws show up, and he ends up tying up the mother-in-law, and the kids blackmailing his prep school headmaster, and it's just a mess. But that's the kind of stuff I like. Maybe because dysfunctional families are, to me, feel more realistic in Christmas than happy families and everything turns out okay. I don't know, but
well, I'll agree that I don't like most Christmas movies, but White Christmas, Muppets Christmas Carol, Holiday Inn, Charlie Brown Christmas. I just love all those.
I can get on board with that one.
I'll also agree to a certain extent about the music, which is why I listen to smooth jazz versions of Christmas tunes and big band Christmas versions. So
fair. But they don't play those in the department store I worked at.
Well,
They don't play
That's the fault of the department store.
You get Britney Spears singing Santa Baby over and over and over and over until you snap.
All I want from Christmas is you.
Stop. It's still November. Anyway, so the point I was trying to make with this diatribe.
Oh, there was a point in there.
Yeah, there was a point. I'm getting to it very slowly. But like this episode is literally the perfect example of the kind of Christmas movie that, or it's not a movie, but the kind of Christmas thing that I like, because it's, yes, it's got Santas and it's on Christmas Eve and you've got all the Christmas elements, but it's, aside from the kind of schmaltzy breaking of the fourth wall at the very, very end of the tag, this is my jam. There's guns, there's danger, there's Santas. This is me. This is why I love it. I
An
can pop this
overabundance
on.
of Santas.
Overabundance of Santas. This is the kind of stuff I like.
Well, let's get into why we're really here instead of all the Christmas bashing.
I'm not bashing Christmas, just the movies.
Well, all right, fine. Went with TV Guide listing. 3 menacing Santas crashed the agency's office party, taking Laura, Steele, and the guests hostage, and threatened to blow up the building if they're not given $2 million. Pretty much sums it up.
So, speaking of actors that appear more than once, this is, in Judith's book, it has the note saying this is Don Gordon's second appearance, and the first was in Springtime for Steele. He played Nash, and then this is his second time showing up as Dancer. And then Alexandra Borey's second appearance. This one I didn't catch, but the first she appeared was in Hearts of Steel. She was probably one of the married women. And now she's as Allison Green.
True.
So I didn't catch that originally. And can we talk about the 2 guest stars in this episode?
Okay, why not?
No, but seriously, like Jennifer Tilly and Peter Jurasik. Have you seen either of them in other things?
I'll go with no.
Okay, so you have the DVDs though for Babylon 5, correct?
No, I've got the DVDs for the time travel one, which
I thought. Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you said you were gonna
something Stargate.
Okay,
Stargate,
I don't know why, but I thought you said you had the Babylon 5 DVDs. Okay, so Peter Jurasik, who plays
no, but if somebody wants to just send them to me, go ahead.
Who plays Jack/Eggnog? He is a main character on Babylon 5. He plays the character Londo Mollari, which is an alien species, he's part of an alien species on the show. And he's essentially, I mean, he's in a bunch of other things too, but this was his big role in terms of like as a series regular on a TV show. And he was a villain that had one of the best redemption arcs that I've ever seen happen on a television series. Like, he starts out as one of the most despicable, I'm not going to say human beings because he wasn't, but like despicable characters, and just has this beautiful transformation over the course of the show. And it's really, really perfectly done. And his acting is just amazing, and he's just great. And so when I see him here, I'm like, oh my God, it's Londo Mollari playing like a drunken stockbroker. Like, how does this? But he's great in this too. So he's just like chef's kiss wonderful. Like, they had such good talent in this episode, because you've got him, and then you've got Jennifer Tilly, and like Jennifer Tilly is an icon. She's known for some of these like really weird, really kind of like bizarre roles that she's done in many cases. It says she's an American and Canadian actress. I didn't know we had any connection to her, so hey, yay. And apparently she's also a professional poker player. So she's the actress that plays Eva, the plant lady. But she was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in the film, I think, Bullets Over Broadway. And she also earned like some extreme acclaim for playing like her portrayal of Violet, who was a lesbian sort of femme fatale in the movie Bound. And that's considered to be one of these sort of films that are like really important in like the LGBT community. She was Tiffany Valentine in The Bride of Chucky. And she's done all these other movies, The Haunted Mansion, Fabulous Baker Boys, Liar Liar. She played the, I don't know if you've seen that one, but she played the ex-wife that's trying to like take her husband for everything he's got, and Jim Carrey's trying to get it for her, and she's just awful in that movie too. Like she's great, but she's awful. Like her character's awful. And then she became a World Series poker champion in 2005. So there's that. So she's just really like, I don't know, she's just amazing, and to see her here in this tiny little role on the show was like, I don't know, they had lightning in a bottle in terms of some of the guest stars that appeared. And every now and then we get a guest star that is a big person elsewhere, that like Gina Davis. This time we have 2, plus all of the other guest actors who are awesome. Like, this is just anyway, I know we're not even into the episode, but I told you I had thoughts. So,
well, I'm going to take us down another detour.
Oh, yay. Good.
The episode opens with a close-up image of a pistol on a desk as a singer is crooning, "Have yourself a merry little
Yes, you hinted at this.
Sonny Averano is a Frank Sinatra-style singer, and
okay,
in my opinion, based on what we hear in this episode, he's not bad. He's the guy that was the lounge singer in Dice Steele, of whom Eddie Grogan says he's got everything but Sinatra's salary. This is the same guy. He took singing lessons as a youngster, made his living first as an auto mechanic, and then beginning in 1967 as the owner of several junkyards. Along the way, he opened a nightclub in what was an abandoned church in South Philadelphia, which he called the Roman Gardens, which did well until there was a shooting.
Oh, yeah, that would do it.
Kind of killed the business.
Yeah.
He continued in the junkyard business and eventually became president of the South Philadelphia Auto Wreckers Association. And whatever he was doing, he was always listening to the music of Frank Sinatra and would often get up and sing at gatherings of families and friends. Well, sometime in 1982, at a Junkyard Association dinner, singer/comic Julie DeJean, don't know who that is, was entertaining that night. She knew Sonny and knew that Sonny sang, so she called him up on stage to sing a couple of numbers. His friends were cheering, and he walked off the stage, not aware that a couple of executives from the Playboy Hotel Casino in Atlantic City were there. They called him over to their table and asked how he'd like to sing at the Playboy Club. And in a retelling, Sonny said he had a voice, but no stage presence, no arrangements, but he knew what the executives saw. They saw all these people that he sort of controlled, and they knew that junkyard people made a lot of money. They figured they'd bring him down to Atlantic City and that he'd bring in a lot of gamblers with him. They gave him a Monday night, a dark night, which I presume means that they don't normally have an act book. I'm not sure. In the main room of the Playboy Casino. He opened on June 28th, and they were waiting in line to see him. He sang 4 or 5 bars of Come Fly With Me from behind the curtain. Then they opened the curtain, and the crowd went wild. It was his first time on stage, and he had a 16-piece orchestra behind him. And according to David Richards of the New York Times, on that night, the casino registered one of its biggest drops, which I believe is a term for the amount of money lost at the gaming tables by patrons for a Monday. And Sonny was asked to do 6 more Mondays and then 6 more.
Wow.
And from then on, he was first and last a singer. The Playboy dates parlayed into steady casino work at Harrah's, the Golden Nugget, Caesars, the Claridge, and the Trump Taj Mahal. And though he wasn't fixated on Sinatra or Sinatra's style, he always had insisted that what audiences heard was his own voice. He had somehow internalized the style, the artistry, the phrasing, the personality, and the electricity and the charisma to the point where it became his own. And there was the physical resemblance to boot. Now, Bruce Klauber, who was a close friend of Sonny's and a writer of an article that appeared in the Shore Local, which is a website newspaper for the Jersey Shore, stated that like Frank Sinatra, when Sonny Averano walked into a room, he owned it. You were drawn to him and you knew he was there because the room was filled with electricity. I often hung out with him in the wee small hours after the job at places like Grable's, and I saw people clear a path so he could walk through the room comfortably. High roller suites opened their doors to him. Headliners in the main room came into the lounge after their shows to be with him. He knew people who were connected. Years later, I came to believe that one of the reasons so many flocked to see Sonny was because in some weird way, being with him was the closest they would ever get to being with Frank Sinatra. Now, Klauber pointed out that there is a vocal similarity to Sinatra, and specifically the latter-day Sinatra, which apparently frustrated Sonny, who said, It's tough for a guy like me. I try to do my own things. I do show tunes. I do Tony Bennett.
Right.
That's important because I had this wonderful conspiracy theory
that they got him to do this episode too.
I'll get to it.
Okay.
It doesn't last, but I'll get to it. Vic Damone, Al Martino. I sing as good as all of them, but the people won't let me. The minute I get on stage, they shout, "My Way," or "The Lady is a Tramp," or "New York, New York." So I ended up staying in that Sinatra vein. By 92, things were winding down for Sonny because Atlantic City was changing, but it really didn't matter for Sonny. On July 3rd, he sat down with David Richards of the New York Times for an interview for an article that Sonny and Clabber hoped could finally be a career turning point for him to catapult him into the big time. The next morning, on July 4, Clabber got a call. Sonny had died suddenly earlier that morning. And the New York Times article, which was supposed to be a boost to Sonny's career, instead became a tribute article.
Oof.
And I got to say, I wasn't impressed with his singing in these particular episodes. And in terms of, I didn't think it was great. And I would have judged him as merely a mediocre Frank Sinatra impersonator at best, based on these appearances.
I think that's what we called him in Dice Steele.
But, I checked out some of the videos of him performing at various venues that are available on YouTube. And I got to say, he was actually much better than he comes across in these episodes. But the bit about how he would do Tony Bennett and Vic Damone and Al Martino got me thinking. And I checked with the mighty oracle of music, Steve Sisson.
I was going to say, Steve.
And I asked him, when did that modified version of Steele try and come out? Well, he says, to the best of his knowledge, it didn't exist until the DVDs were released. It was done specifically for the DVDs, which were early 2000s, which was a problem if Sonny died in 1992. So he obviously couldn't have done the music to replace that Tony Bennett with in 2005. But my thought was, okay, Michael Gleason wanted to get Tony Bennett to do these things, but what if somebody on the production staff, maybe Gleason himself, maybe one of the attorneys for MTM, maybe one of the attorneys for the network said, okay, yeah, we know you've got this deal going with Tony Bennett, and it looks like that's going to go, but, we're really, really nervous about this because the record companies, they like to have their money and they could just make a big stink. And even though you've kind of got it covered with this agreement, if they make a big stink, it's probably not worth it to us to deal with it. So come up with some songs that are not Tony Bennett songs, sung by somebody who kind of sounds like Tony Bennett, but it's obviously not Tony Bennett because they're not Tony Bennett songs. And record those and file them away just in case. And I thought, the voice in those, it's not exactly the same, but I mean, when you're doing, I'll say an impersonation or a tribute performance to somebody, you're not going to sound exactly like them, but you're also not going to sound exactly like what you do when you're doing a tribute performance for somebody else, even though, the same person's physically doing it. I thought, well, it could have been the same guy. It could have been this guy. It could have been Sonny. And he just recorded these and they got stuck and somebody pulled them out of the episode library and stuck them in. And the Oracle shot me down. He said, nah, it doesn't sound like the same guy to me at all. So I told him, yes, he insisted, because I told him he totally ruined my conspiracy theory, but he said I had to include it here anyway. So
yeah, no, that's Steve. A good conspiracy. I enjoy a good conspiracy theories.
Well, I think most people do. And I even came up with a pretty good explanation to work around the dates issue, but
yeah, absolutely.
Dang you, Steve.
Curse
anyway,
you, but thank you.
Anyway, as the image remains tight on the pistol, we see a white gloved hand pick up the pistol, and we can tell even in this close-up shot that whoever it is that is picking it up is dressed in a Santa suit. Well, this person tucks the pistol into the waistband of his pants. Yeah, boy, that's I still got to say your bits are a little more important than that.
Well, I'm St. Nick's magic bits. Maybe it just, I don't know. Pretend I didn't say that. Edit that out.
Yes,
not
well,
good.
we won't talk about unwrapping them. Then pulls the Santa jacket closed, and he pulls the Santa jacket closed, thus hiding the pistol. Yes. The camera pulls back, and then we see this unidentified man who's already wearing the full Santa beard and hat, standing in front of a full-length mirror as he buckles his wide Santa belt around his waist. And after completing his costume, he stands for a moment, inspecting his appearance. We jump to the agency, where a Christmas party is in full swing.
Can I say one more thing? Just one more little thing. Teeny weeny thing.
Okay, yeah, it's only been a half an hour.
I know, right? I'm sorry to everybody listening. I apologize, but there's some cool stuff here that I just wanted to point out.
Okay, all right.
This is a bottle episode, and I think this is the
mostly.
This is like the first time I think that the show has done a bottle episode. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've done it. They've done one before. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, a bottle.
The episode on the island was close.
Yeah, kind of, but not quite. Because the purpose for a bottle episode is that it takes place almost entirely in a single location, usually with the main cast and minimal guest stars or special effects, and it comes from the idea of keeping the production bottled up, confined and contained to save money. So these are usually episodes that appear when a series needs to stretch its budget, or they've got like a production schedule that's tight and they don't have time to find other locations and stuff. So because of these limitations, bottle episodes often end up being character-driven, emotionally intense, and if they're done well, really creatively written. So that's why I think the island one is a bit of a stretch, because they would have had to spend a ton of money to be on that location and whatnot. But in this case, and I don't know if in this particular case it was budget restraints or whatnot that caused them to do it. It could just be a good idea that they went with. But
well, if it was, they blew it when they did the motorcycle chase. But anyway,
yeah, or the terribly 80s CGI'd explosion. But
sure.
But yeah, this is a really cool self-contained episode, which is really well written and really character driven. And I really love a good bottle episode. I'm a big fan of these episodes that kind of force.
You're a fan of the bottle.
I'm a fan of the bottle. Funny. All right, I'm going to shut up now. You go ahead.
Anyway, we see that Mildred is playing hostess, and as she is pouring eggnog into a cup for one of the guests, a man who we later learn is named Jack, although he commonly gets called Eggnog. Yep. Yeah. He comes up and asks who made the eggnog, and Mildred tells him that she made it from her mother's recipe. And he complains that apparently Mom was a teetotaler. It's a little bit light on the rum.
Okay, I was a teenager when I first saw this because I caught it in reruns, and that line was a revelation to me because I didn't know that eggnog, A, could be made at home, or B, was supposed to have alcohol in it. Because the only thing
the kind you buy in a carton at the grocery store doesn't. Exactly. I can guarantee you that.
That's quite literally the only eggnog I ever knew. So I didn't realize that eggnog was supposed to have alcohol, or that you could have a recipe and make it yourself. I was like, huh. Okay.
My question would be why.
I think it's gross. I don't like it at all. But
no.
As a kid, I used to love it. It's weird because as a kid, I would guzzle that stuff like you wouldn't believe. And now I'll buy it, but only my daughter drinks it because I cannot stand the taste, and neither can my husband. It's too sweet. I'm guessing the rum maybe takes the edge off of that.
Yeah, it could, yeah.
But maybe I should just pour some rum in it. I'll try it out. I don't know.
There you go.
But yeah, it was just, I was like, wait a minute. There's supposed to be rum and eggnog? Since when? Anyway.
Well, as a kid, my drink was Cactus Cooler, which is not going to be a name familiar to most people.
The heck is that?
Unless you're from California. It is a orange pineapple soda.
Oh, crazy.
And when my mom worked at the hospital, Kaiser Hospital in Oregon, they had a vending machine. It's the old style vending machine that had, dropped the cup and it pushed the crushed ice in it and it squirted the stuff in it. You could get the Cactus Cooler as either carbonated or non-carbonated. But I loved that stuff. I still love it. I just can't get it. Anyway.
Okay.
So as an adult, my tastes haven't entirely changed. Anyway, let's see. Yes. Mildred humorously observes that they wouldn't want to send anyone home half-gassed.
Fair.
And Jack chuckles, perhaps more sorrowfully than humorously, and tells her that he'll just finish this one up and go home. Judith and the young ones await. Then they wish each other a Merry Christmas. Well, Steele is in his office, standing at the window, staring out, not looking real excited. Mildred opens the door, leans in, and calls to him, urging him to come on out and join the fun. He turns and he looks at her with a frown on his face. And he turns back to the window, telling her that it's obscene. She steps into the office and, not certain what he's calling obscene, asks him to clarify. He says he tried to play tennis this morning. It was too hot.
Okay, I'm calling bullcrap on this because this guy complains about climbing stairs. And I don't see him out there willingly playing tennis. This character has been established as like the laziest when it comes to physical activity. Does not want to do it.
Define play tennis.
Okay, maybe he's hanging out with what's her face, Miss Dalrymple.
That's right.
I don't think he's playing tennis.
Yeah, he may be playing something, but he's not. Yeah. Anyway, Mildred chuckles and agrees that yes, it's a little warm for December. 97 degrees is more than a little warm, he pouts. 97 degrees on Christmas Eve is obscene. Should be big flat snowflakes falling. Jack Frost nipping at your heels.
I had to look this up.
97 on Christmas Eve in Southern California. I mean, that seems a little bit unlikely even for Southern California.
Yeah, so I looked this up. That's a great segue. I looked this up, and yeah, the average temperature, because I was like, okay, I got to know what was the average temperature in California in the 80s during December, because I don't live there and I didn't live there. And I'm thinking, is this obscene? Is this, because I first of all, I converted it to Fahrenheit or Celsius. So for those of you using the metric system, it's 36 degrees, which is very hot. It's very hot, period, much less for, December. The average temperature
and changing it from Celsius to Fahrenheit or back or forth, it doesn't change the fact that it's way too hot.
I can now understand what temperature that is, right? So the average temperature in LA in the 80s in December was 67 Fahrenheit or 19 degrees Celsius. So yeah, that's a little warm, just a tad. Like you've gone from a light jacket weather to your air conditioner's breaking down because there's not enough power to like manage the grid hot. So oof. Did you get a chance to read the script for this out of curiosity?
I did.
Okay. There's a lot that they took out for this. Some of it's kind of like incidental, but some of it's like, oh, that makes makes the episode make a lot more sense.
I've got a lot of it stuck in through. So
okay, cool.
I will try to highlight when I am going on script as opposed to going off screen.
So yeah, it is hot for LA.
Anyway, he says should be big fat snowflakes falling and Jack Frost nipping at your heels.
I agree.
He pauses and then asks, speaking of things nipping at your heels, where's Miss Holt?
I love it. That's a great line.
I'm sorry. That word. I have something else entirely in mind when I hear that word. Mildred tells him that Laura is out running some errands. He looks at his watch, points out that it's only 4:15, then raising his voice in irritation, ensuring that everyone in the outer office will hear, rhetorically asks, has she forgotten that this is a place in which we conduct business?
I mean, this is from the guy who barely turns up on time, and when he does, is often found in his office with his feet up, reading the paper, or putting together his VCR.
That's right.
Or whatever or buying a boat. Come on, Steele, you're not fooling anybody here.
Well, he's just in a bad mood because
he is in
it's
a bad
Christmas.
mood.
Yes.
Well, and I like the way they develop this because the fact that he's upset about the lack of snow is one part of it, but it's not the whole reason, obviously, because
that's the excuse he's giving.
Yeah.
It's really not about that.
No.
Anyway, Mildred points out that they don't have any business to conduct, optimistically adding that this is goodwill toward men time. Crime is on a holiday.
Yeah, that's
excuse me.
Right.
No.
You looked this up too, then, huh?
Oh yes.
Go ahead.
Reports indicate that robbery and personal larceny increases by an approximate 20% during December, Shoplifting rates spike around the holidays. There's
Yep.
also an increase in cybercrimes. Identity theft, fraud are among the most common cybercrimes around the holidays. Of course, not back in the 80s. But
Right. Yeah.
DUIs increase during
Yep.
the holidays, with New Year's Eve, of course, being one of the biggest nights. Domestic violence typically
Yep.
increases. Vandalism increases during Christmas, much of it focused on festive and religious seasonal decorations. Employee theft often surges during holiday seasons, particularly with temporary staff turnover. So no,
Yeah.
Mildred, crime is not on a holiday.
Yeah, I had literally the same thing, that more valuables are visible, so there's more opportunity. Lots of homes unoccupied. People go on vacations, so there's lots of like home thefts if they
Mhm.
know that the people are out. Increased alcohol consumption, more foot traffic in retail spaces, and the fact that if depending on where you are on the planet,
Mhm.
it gets darker earlier, which allows for more incidences of crime to take place there as well.
Mhm.
And
Right.
also the fact that not everybody has a good Christmas. Not everybody has a good family. Not everybody has money or
Not everyone has good
opportunities.
morals.
or well, that too, but I just mean, like, if you look at the rise in like theft could come from the fact that you've got parents that are maybe trying to provide a Christmas for their kids and barely have enough money to put food on the table, much less buy all the presents that capitalism tells them they're supposed to buy. So, they turn to shoplifting or whatever. And I mean, not all of the crime is based on that, but some of it has to be, because this is a season that is literally saying, if you don't spend money, you're a bad person. And,
I don't remember much about being a kid, but I got a feeling that we had some pretty lean Christmases when I was a kid. I don't remember my parents going out and committing major crimes to fund it.
I just mean, and
No, I
obviously
understand.
not
Say
everybody
what you're
does,
saying.
but I just
Yeah.
mean there is a lot of pressure, and there is a lot, like, to create the magic for your kids, to keep that.
Mhm.
That movie that I mentioned that I said was Disney's most depressing film, it's called One Magic Christmas, and and for the longest time I didn't even know the title of this because we had just taped it off the TV, but it's got Mary Steenburgen's in it, and Harry Dean Stanton is in it, and it's basically she plays a mother who hates Christmas and is really like just depressed throughout most of the film, because she's working at a grocery store as a cashier. Her husband has been lost his job. They barely have the money. They're getting evicted from their house because it was a company home, so they're having to move around the Christmas season. And she is trying desperately to provide some sort of Christmas for her kids, but her husband's a bit of a dreamer. He wants to open like a bike shop, and they're having marital troubles because she buys like one or two small things, and he's like, yeah, we'll get the rest later. And she's like, no, this is the rest. And so it just kind of like emphasizes this idea of like trying to keep this magic alive. And a lot of families feel that the only way to do that is by having their kids, because if they believe in Santa, and then so little Tommy gets a bike and they don't get the one thing they asked for, which might not be as big, but mom and dad just couldn't afford it. I don't know. There's a lot of pressure, I think, in the holiday season, and that can add to people like drinking more. It can add to, and not just for kids, but like adults who are maybe alone during the holiday season, or just stuff. It's a hard time, I think, for people who are going through something. So that tends to lead to a rise in crime.
So anyway, Steele grouses that even if a client did wander in, she would probably be trampled to death with all those freeloaders out there. And I'm curious about the use of the word "she" by Steele here.
Actually, from what I heard of it, he said he or she, but because he said it so fast, it kind of like squished it together, and it was kind of difficult to make out. But I think he said he or she, and it ran together as a phrase.
To me, it sounded like she. The original script said he that we have. But my question is, why not a generic term like they?
That would make more sense.
If a client came in here, they would probably be trampled to death. Yeah.
It'd be easier to say too, because it's hard to say he would. I don't know. It just doesn't trip well off the tongue.
Yeah. And I find the reference to freeloaders almost humorous because, in a sense, that's what a criminal is, and that's what Steele was for most of his life.
He kind of still, I mean, he sort of still, not saying he's not working for his his job or what have you. But
yeah,
like,
but he's
not,
certainly not. He's getting more out of it than he's putting into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, chuckling, Mildred blames Steele's grumpy attitude on his not having had his Christmas shopping completed. And Steele grumpily denies being grumpy, then says, well, as for not doing my Christmas shopping, but he never gets to finish as Mildred cuts off his pending denial, saying, you haven't done it. Men always wait till the last minute. Well, Miss Holt did hers in August.
Facts. This is facts, okay? Because I worked retail for 8 years, and let me tell you, I worked the Christmas Eve shift, and it was always men coming in and doing the emergency. I forgot this and this and this and this and this, and I'm like, I try to push back against stereotypes as much as possible, but that one, sorry, guys, but like, the only people coming in on Christmas Eve were the men.
Well, Steele frowns and then responds to Mildred's comment about Laura having done hers shopping in August. He complains that she's probably bought them all mufflers. And
I don't know why you'd need a muffler if the average temperature is 19 degrees, but hey.
Yeah.
Or 67.
Anyway, the phone rings and Mildred reaches across Steele's desk to answer it. Then on the other side of the phone call, we see that it's Laura calling from her loft. We can see that she has learned home Christmas decorating from the school of if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, she's got a highly decorated tree, which is enhanced by a full-length mirror reflecting the back of the tree out for everyone to see, basically doubling as a second decorated tree. Her piano is covered with decorations. Her coffee table is covered with decorations. The desk where she's wrapping gifts is covered with decorations. Yeah, she overdid.
Yeah, if Instagram existed, she'd have pictures all like her apartment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Laura asks Mildred how the open house is going, and Mildred gushes that it's a smash. And Steele gifts her with yet another sour look, and Mildred amends her statement, adding, well, for the most part. Laura asks if Steele is in, and Mildred chuckles and says, yeah, with bells on. Mildred hands the phone to Steele, and so with false cheer, Steele grandly greets Laura as the Lost Patrol,
which is
an
movie.
Indirect movie reference. The Lost Patrol, Victor McLaglen.
This could be a while, guys.
What can I say? Boris Karloff, Wallace Ford, and directed by John Ford. RKO 1934. A dozen British soldiers lost in the Mesopotamian desert during World War I are menaced by unseen Arab enemies. And then, from the script, Laura, I got a late start. There was a nip in the air this morning, and I jogged. Remington, nip, did you say? You're hallucinating, probably heat stroke. Laura, what's the matter with you? Remington snaps, nothing's the matter with me. Laura, I know what it is. You haven't done your Christmas shopping, and it's made you grouchy. Remington, not at all. Not true at all. While I didn't shop in August like some while I didn't shop in August like some over-organized fanatics, and then Laura responds to a subtle commentary on her absence by assuring him that she's on her way in, then reminds him to be charming to their guests, reminding him that it's the season to be jolly after all.
So I find it weird that they would have her say that she went jogging and there was a nip in the air when it's so ungodly hot it would literally be breaking records. That's an odd line to have.
It is, yes. But it was in there.
I do like the fact that he calls her like overly organized and fanatical about Christmas shopping.
Yes.
That was cute.
Well, Steele responds to Laura with a very unenthusiastic ho, 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 then hangs up with a little more force than is necessary. Yeah. Mildred laughs and then offers to get Steele some eggnog. And Steele's response of whoopee is again very unenthusiastic.
It's funny, though.
And here is something that probably should have been left in because it relates to a little bit with Steele.
Yeah.
He ponders for a moment, then withdraws his wallet and removes a business card. Sitting at his desk, he dials the number on the card. Remington, yes, I passed your window a few weeks ago, and there was a woman's wristwatch, gold band and encrusted with tiny diamonds. Do you, by any chance, still have it? smiles. Splendid. Put it aside, will you? What time do you close? Checks his watch. I'll be right down. The name's Steele. Remington Steele. Modestly. Yes, that Remington Steele. He hangs up, inordinately pleased with himself. There's a spring to his step as he crosses the office too. And that does play into something here in a little bit. So yeah, it kind of relates. Anyway, Mildred is at the punch bowl, again playing hostess, handing cups of eggnog to a young woman who thanks her for the cup, but says she can't stay long.
Eva the plant lady. Yay.
Yes. The two women walk in the direction of Steele's office, Mildred with Steele's cup of eggnog in her hand. And Steele comes out, and Mildred introduces him to the young lady, Eva Wilson, their plant lady. Script. Eva, I have 3 more floors of ficus and a couple of anorexic Algerian ivy and a batch of Boston fern that need me. Anorexic plants?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I can see why that was cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she again tells Steele that she can't stay long. And Steele responds that he knows the feeling. Mildred hands Steele his eggnog, and he informs her that he has to go out for a few minutes. And this is where that previous bit ties in. And as he begins to make his way to the door, Jack approaches, grabs Steele, and asks if he might have something to give the eggnog, a little more Christmas spirit, if you know what I mean. Steele, wanting to avoid delays, tells Jack that Miss Krebs is in charge of the spirit.
Yeah.
Then he excuses himself. And Eva, the plant lady, again calls to Steele that she can't stay long. And Steele gives a wave of acknowledgement, and then again attempts to depart, only to have a female voice call out his name. He is approached by a woman who, with a huge grin, introduces herself as Allison Green from Cohen, Campbell, and Carstairs. I'm 22.
Carstairs! We've got Carstairs again.
Yes. Grinning, Steele, who clearly doesn't recognize her or the name of the business, says, "Oh, yes, of course. Excellent attorneys."
Good guess. I mean, it sounds like a law firm to me.
Yeah. Well, her grin immediately loses much of its intensity, and she says, "We're an advertising agency." Steele apologizes, saying that he just got his Cohens confused.
Which is funny because there is a law firm here in my city called Cohen Hiley. And so, again, not a terrible guess.
Yeah. Script. Allison, lovely idea, this little Christmas gathering. These modern high-rises can be so impersonal, so glass and steel. Chuckles. No pun intended. Steele insincerely adds that it's always delightful to meet one's neighbors, then suggests that she talk to the plant lady. She can't stay long. As he nears the door in his so far frustrated attempt to depart, he is stopped by a short man who demands to know, "How are your feet?" And Steele is perplexed at the question. The man introduces himself as Dr. S. Wilson Scabbard, on 8. He pulls out a business card and hands it to Steele. He informs Steele that he is a podiatrist, and he couldn't help but noticing that Steele seems to be favoring his left foot. Why is that? Corn? Bunion? Ingrown toenail? Steele arches his eyebrows and says, new shoes. But Scabbard is not to be deterred by his misdiagnoses. He comes back with the quote, "There's language in her eye, her cheek, her lip. Nay, her foot speaks. Do you know who said that?" And Steele shakes his head slowly and then answers, "No, but I'm sure I'm going to find out."
Yep, pretty much.
Shakespeare, Troilus and Cressida, Act 4, Scene 5. Scabbard proudly informs him. And holding out Scabbard's business card, Steele counters, "Feats, don't fail me now. Do you know who said that?" And Scabbard, who clearly prides himself on knowing more than all things feet related, is chagrined.
A little upset.
Not knowing the quote. And he has to admit that he doesn't. Steele supplies, "Charlie Chan's chauffeur, Shanghai Cobra, monogram, 1945. I always felt those were words to live by."
So I used to teach Shakespeare. I've never taught Troilus and Cressida, but this one, for those who don't know, it's a play set during the Trojan War, and you've got the two title characters who begin a love affair. Cressida is forced to leave Troy to join her father in the Greek camp. Meanwhile, the Greeks endeavor to lessen the pride of Achilles. I'm using Wikipedia here to just kind of sum it up, but it kind of alternates between a somewhat raunchy comedy and tragedy, and a lot of theater goers and readers have frequently found it difficult to understand how they're meant to respond to the character, so it's been labeled as one of Shakespeare's quote-unquote problem plays. And so it's interesting that he would cite this particular quote because I think, and he looks so proud of himself when he does.
Oh, yes,
so I think he's meant to sort of see himself as, I can cite this obscure Shakespearean quote that makes me look really smart, but has really nothing to do with what the play's about at all in terms of like the foot. It's not, but that's why it's funny when Steele counters with a pulpy film reference that Scabbard just does not get.
Well, it's like when you're talking about him using this quote that really has nothing to do with the play itself because of that one word. It's like tech support people that you call them and you say these things and they grab onto that one word.
Yeah.
And try to give you a solution to this problem based on that one word. It's like, no. That's just background. That's just getting me to the point of where the problem exists. Exactly. That's not the problem.
That's not the issue. Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Steele bids the good doctor goodbye and then turns to leave. But his exit is blocked by a Santa walking in through the front doors of the agency's office. Santa walks in and unenthusiastically recites, "Ho, ho, ho."
Like
Steele agrees.
He takes the time to say ho, ho, ho to everybody. That's nice.
Yes. Mildred comes forward, greeting the Santa with undisguised annoyance, demanding to know where he's been. He was supposed to be here at 2, and it's after 4. And Santa tells her to shut up.
I gotta know why they hired a Santa. There's no kids there. What was the purpose of hiring? Usually if you hire a Santa...
Maybe they thought that other people in the building would bring their kids. I don't know.
I guess, but it's an office building. And the party looks like it's meant for the people who work in the building. So it's a weird thing to spend $25 an hour in 80s money on. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Christmas. You gotta have a Santa. Okay.
Well, it makes sense for the plot too, because if they think the Santa's expected, he can just walk on in. But it just seems weird.
Well, Mildred doesn't appreciate him telling her to shut up, and so she's not going to take any lip. After all, she's not paying $25 an hour, as you said, for a surly Santa. And Steele frowns, shocked that their Santa is getting paid so much. Mildred shrugs and says, "It's the going rate, boss." Santa asks Steele if he's Steele, and rather than answer, Steele tells him to have some eggnog. He's sure that it'll cheer the man up, and then again, he tries to leave, but Santa again blocks Steele, asking him, "What's the hurry?" "Business appointment," Steele responds. And with a sinister tone and grin, Santa tells Steele to stick around. The party's just getting started. "Not with you, it isn't," Mildred insists, and she tells him to go back to his reindeer and sit on an antler.
Mildred has a great episode. This is a fantastic Mildred episode. She's just perfect. Like telling off the Santa. I love it.
Well, Santa angrily tells her to sit on this, and he pulls out a pistol and viciously jams it into her midsection.
Poor Mildred.
Mildred doubles over and Steele grabs her to help, and as he's doing so, he sees the pistol pointing at himself. Then Santa asks Steele, "You want the next dance?" Well, out in the hall, the doors to the 2 elevators to the floor open, and Laura steps out of one, and another Santa steps out of the other. Laura, turning toward the office, nearly bumps into the Santa, who asks her which way to the Remington Steele office. Laura gives him the once-over and then pointedly says, "You're a little late, aren't you? You were supposed to be here at 2. Santa doesn't say anything, so Laura raises her hand, wiggles her fingers in a follow-me gesture, then begins to walk down the hall. Laura comes sweeping into the office, greeting everybody, asking, "How's the party?" And then she stops, first at the apparent sight of everyone not partying, then at the sight of the first Santa holding everyone at gunpoint. With a gun that has suddenly with a gun that suddenly has a suppressor mounted to it, which it hadn't been before. I just point that out.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just a magic suppressor, just like when you pull a trigger and fire a bullet from a gun with a suppressor, it's just totally silent. It's magic.
Maybe it was in his pants and magnetic and just clicked on.
Is that a suppressor, or are you happy to see me?
Exactly, yeah. Ew.
Well, the second Santa asks the first, "Donner?" "Dancer," the first Santa corrects, then asks, "Prancer?" "Right," says the second Santa. Dancer asks Prancer if everything has been taken care of. Just like you told me, Prancer confirms. On the other side of the office, Laura is standing over Steele and Mildred, who are seated. Laura asks him, what's going on? Why is Santa holding the gun?
I love the way she says this. It's just so horrified. Why is Santa holding a gun? Like she's having her childhood ripped out from under her. It's great.
Yeah. Well, Steele quietly says that they haven't found out yet. And Plant Lady tells Laura that she told them she can't stay long. She has to finish her rounds. Well, behind her, Jack says, oh, yes. And he looks at his watch and says, oh, my, look at that time. Kiddies are waiting for me. I have to decorate the tree and all that, Christmas Eve and all. They'll be wondering what happened to Daddy.
I have a question. And this is an American-Canadian question, because maybe this is just what they do in movies, and maybe this is like a cultural difference that I didn't know about. But
okay,
do you wait till Christmas Eve to put up the tree? Because here we put up the tree like a month ahead of time, and or even some people do it even earlier than that. I'd refuse to acknowledge Christmas until December, which this is breaking my rule. But like every movie I see, like American movie I see, or TV show or something like that, has them decorating it on Christmas Eve. And I've always wondered, is that like an American thing, or is it just like they have to do this on TV this way because it shows that it's Christmas? I
think some people probably do. I don't think it's necessarily an American thing. I imagine that the rising of the tree and decorating of the tree happens at various times for various families across the whole spectrum of the month. I'm trying to think.
Is it a difference between a real tree versus a fake tree, maybe? Or I don't know. To me, I've never, like, I think back to all of the people I knew as a kid, and nobody I knew waited till Christmas Eve to put up their tree.
Well, if it's a live tree, I can see where people might wait a little longer because live trees tend to dry out and become fire hazards.
Yeah, I also didn't know many people who had real trees. It was mostly all like fake trees, because they last year after year. You don't have to go out and buy a new one.
Right.
But I don't know. If anyone knows in the fandom whether or not this was a even Canadian like thing that people do, let me know, because it's been driving me crazy.
Yeah, no, I think if you ask a dozen people, you get a dozen different answers as to when they put their tree up. I think we get ours up usually a couple weeks before, but ours is one of those little like 18-inch tall tree in a box type things.
See, ours is 6 feet tall, and this is kind of a funny story as to how we got it, because it's absolutely beautiful when it's all up with the ribbons hanging from it and everything. It looks like something out of a catalog kind of thing. And that, I am not the kind of person that knows how to color coordinate all the ornaments and whatever. We won this tree for free with all of the ornaments, the top, everything. I paid $5 for the raffle ticket, and I won the tree and everything on it. And it was from a funeral home. So that's where my tree came from.
Well, we used to do a regular tree. Some years it was fake. Some years it was real. When our kids were still younger and living at home. And our decorations were kind of a hodgepodge. One of the things that we did for our kids was every year we bought them a Christmas tree ornament.
Oh, yeah, we had those.
For the tree. Yeah. And so by the time they turned 18 and moved out of the house, or we pushed them out of the house, they had gently nudge with the toe of our boot. They had a collection of Christmas tree ornaments already. So.
Oh, okay. No, we didn't do that. We just have our like earth bulbs that we would put on.
No, we
have like random nerdy stuff and the stuff that my daughter made at school. But other than that, it looks like something out of a Hallmark film. And that's not me. That's
we had our own decorations, and then like I said, we bought stuff for the kids. And, it was a different thing every year for each of the kids. So
that's kind of neat. I like that idea.
Yeah. But they're gone, so we don't need that anymore. Anyway, where were we?
Wondering what happened to Daddy.
Jack begins to push the plant lady toward the door, using her as a shield.
That tracks.
But Jack and plant lady freeze when Dancer tells them that if he takes one more step, the kiddies will be reading about what happened to Daddy. Allison steps forward and indignantly asks if this is a robbery, because if it is, she has nothing, absolutely nothing of value. And they give her a hard look, and she glances down her. No. This is a real Cartier watch. No. It's a knockoff. Like they make in Hong Kong.
They weren't even looking at her watch, which is why that's funny. They're just sort of like looking at her, and she's like, this isn't real. No. This is like.
Well, just then a third Santa appears at the office doors and then cautiously makes his way in. Dancer asks if he's Donner, and the newcomer asks Dancer if he's Prancer. Oh, he says, Prancer, I'm Prancer. He's Dancer. And Dancer asks Donner if he's made the deliveries right on schedule. This whole name thing is just going to be,
it's great. It's great because it's almost, it's taken me a number of watch throughs to actually figure out which one's which, even with the script or whatever. This is a good way of like saying to the audience, it's okay if you're confused. So are they.
Well, with the three Santas momentarily distracted by their Abbott and Costello routine, Scabbard tries to make a run for the doors. Dancer shoots Scabbard in the foot. And Laura and Steele and Mildred rush forward to the doctor, but Dancer stops them by pointing his gun at them. Dancer complains to Prancer about the silencer, throwing off his aim. Then he tells Scabbard that he's lucky. He was trying to shoot him in the gut.
Take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Work through it.
Yeah. Do suppressors affect accuracy? Well, the short answer is yes. Suppressors do affect a firearm's accuracy, but not always as you might expect. Sometimes accuracy might get worse when you attach a suppressor. Other times, accuracy will improve. In most tests, suppressors actually increase accuracy when the gun on which it is being used is properly set up by the shooter. It is necessary to re-zero the sights when using a suppressor, and the added weight and changes to the barrel harmonics can shift the point of impact, so those adjustments are necessary. But this is because they reduce the recoil and the muzzle rise, which actually leads to a tighter grouping and improved performance, especially in precision shooting scenarios.
I would argue that he probably wasn't actually aiming for the guy's gut, because as psychotic as Dancer is, he would know that having his gut spilling out all over the floor
would not
at
be
this stage in the game would not be useful.
Yeah, and there's something else that later proves that that was just a throwaway line that he used to try and induce fear. That he is such he's such a wild card and so out there crazy that you never know what he's going to try and do. Anyway, Dancer gestures over his shoulder toward the door, telling Prancer to lock it. As Dancer is working on the door, Laura steps forward and in a no-nonsense tone says, "Let me get this straight. We're being held prisoner by a bunch of Santas?" "You got it, pretty face," Dancer tells her. Prancer rejoins and asks, "Now what?" "They wait," Dancer states. Hands on hips, Steele slowly asks, "What exactly are we waiting for, gentlemen?" Dancer continues to look intently at Laura, eyes unmoving from her as he answers Steele. "Blitzen." Well, we come back from a commercial to the strains of "Santa Claus is coming to town" as the camera pans from Santa number 1 to Santa number 2 to Santa number 3, as if they were all contestants on To Tell the Truth. Dancer cryptically tells Donner, "You know what to look for." Donner goes into Steele's office where Steele and Laura are helping Scabbard to the couch. After getting Scabbard seated, Laura goes into the inner office for the first aid kit while Steele holds up Scabbard's injured foot and begins removing the shoe. Steele observes the injury, declaring it's not too serious and that it appears to have only grazed the foot. Laura, preparing to clean up the blood, calls it ironic.
Yeah, it is.
Scabbard, seemingly a bit paranoid over her comment, asks, "What's ironic about it?" "A podiatrist being shot in the foot," she says. Well, he takes offense at her attempt at dark humor, saying he doesn't find it at all to be ironic. He finds it very, very painful. And Steele chastises her, saying that she's really put her foot into it this time.
Come on, Steele, you can do better than that.
And that's the look she gives him. Kind of like, you're going to criticize my joke with a joke that is even worse?
Yeah, and it is pretty bad.
Scabbard whines, asking what kind of confidence his patients are going to have in him if they see him walking around with a limp.
That's true. The saying, never trust a bald barber or a skinny cook.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between
I know. I'm just
having a problem with your foot and getting shot in your foot. I mean, it's
that's
not exactly the same thing.
No, it isn't.
Anyway, Donner, having observed but not done any looking, as he's been instructed to, suddenly comes to life. He strides over to Steele's desk and begins looking through it. Steele begins to question Donner, but he misidentifies him as Prancer.
Yep.
And he apologizes, saying that, well, who can tell? They all look alike under the beards. Well, that's the general idea, Donner says. Christmas Eve, the city's lousy with Santas. Nobody looks twice. Scabbard continues to whine, saying that he should have gone straight home. He doesn't even celebrate Christmas. It's not fair. It's not fair getting shot on a holiday that you don't even celebrate.
Would he prefer to get shot on a holiday that he does celebrate? Like,
yeah,
that seems like an odd thing to focus on.
That reminds me of a poster I saw years and years ago in the post office that said, it is illegal to assault or shoot. I don't remember the exact wording, but it's illegal to assault or shoot a postal employee in an unlawful manner. Which, of course, my question was, what is the lawful manner to do it?
That's great. I would love to find whoever made that sign and just figure out what they were thinking with that statement.
And then he turns his anger onto Steele, saying that he's got a good mind to sue Steele. After all, this happened on his premises. It's his legal responsibility.
Is it? Because I don't think it would be, but no, I don't know much about legalities and U.S. law in terms of stuff like that. So
you can sue anybody for anything.
That's what I've heard.
Regardless of whether it's legitimate or not. So yeah, I could probably sue. I don't think it would go anywhere, but I mean, you could sue.
It's a lot harder to sue for stuff like that here because with our and I know some of this might not be for this reason, but I know a lot of the lawsuits that are medically based in the U.S. are because of healthcare costs. And so even if the company's not at fault, you're going to shoot your shot if you think you can get some of your medical costs covered.
Well, yeah.
Whereas with our healthcare system set up the way it is, unless you need extra stuff that OHIP doesn't cover in Ontario or elsewhere in Canada, you can't really sue for a reason like that unless you can prove that whatever injury you sustained was so severe that you can't work or earn income as a result, because your hospital stay is going to be covered. All that stuff is going to be covered. The only thing that might not be covered is like if you need physio or something like that. But even then, most people's work insurance usually covers stuff like that if you have it. So it makes it harder to do frivolous lawsuits here.
Well,
so
I think for medical lawsuits here in the U.S., I think the majority of them, I don't know this with documentation, but my suspicion is that the majority of them are based on malpractice claims.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Now, in other arenas outside of medical, like this, you go into somebody's office and somebody comes in to rob the place and you get shot during the process. Yeah, you could sue everybody that was there. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go anywhere because,
fair enough.
Like in this case, Steele and Laura, no, they weren't responsible for this. The building owners, no, you might sue them, but they weren't really responsible for this. The only people that they probably wouldn't wind up suing is Dancer, Prancer, Donner, and Blitzen.
Yeah, well,
the people who are actually responsible.
Fair enough.
Of course, they don't have any money, so what's the point in suing them? You sue people that got the money.
True.
Anyway, at the doctor's threats, Laura and Steele give each other eye rolls. But in the meantime, Donner chimes in asking Scabbard what makes him think he's even going to live to sue anybody. And taken back, Scabbard stammers, What do you mean? Look, I can't afford to die. Not now. I just opened a branch office in Encino.
Oh, I love that. I can't afford to die.
Scabbard looks at Laura and Remington, telling them that he's a very highly regarded doctor in his field. He's been called the podiatrist to the stars.
Sure.
Scabbard, professional ethics forbid me from telling you who, but you'd be amazed at the number of stars with bad feet. Remington, a veritable epidemic, I'm sure. And of course, during Scabbard's rant, Steele has his face in his hand, and Donner demands to know where it is. What? Laura asks. Your hardware, he demands. Laura looks at Steele, then turns back to Donner, explaining that although it may sound lame, they sometimes have trouble locating it themselves.
And this would sound really lame. This would sound like a really flimsy excuse. But it's not. We've seen it established over 4 years now. They can never find this damn gun. If they do, the bullets are somewhere else. That's what happens in the episode.
Scabbard, in the meantime, is panicking. You can't kill me. Who would take over my practice? I'm a one-man office.
He literally just said
he opened a branch office in Encino.
He opened a branch office. How is he going to do that? Is he going to be 2 places at the same time? Anyway.
And in the script, it's totally unnecessary, and I understand why they excised it, but it was great because Scabbard continues to Laura and Remington. I offered to send my son to any medical school in the country, all expenses paid. You know what he did? He had his ears pierced and his head shaved. He wears black lipstick and listens to Sid Vicious all day. I'm the laughingstock of Beverly Hills. And realizes what he said to Donner. I'm not rich, though. Even though I live in Beverly Hills, I'm not rich. So if you're thinking of holding me for ransom, I have bad news for you. Nobody will pay. Certainly not my son, the momser.
I love this. And I know it was cut for time. It had to have been, but it's funny and it's a shame because, yeah.
And then he continues, and not my wife either. The only way she'd pay ransom is if she could put it on her Visa card. And Donner's response is, probably wouldn't get 2 cents for the lot of you. And Remington, for once, I'm delighted to be considered worthless, which is a great line.
Too. That is a great line, and it's really a shame that had to get cut too.
Well, Prancer opens the door and asks Donner if he's found any. When Donner says he hasn't, Prancer tells him that Dancer's orders are to keep looking. Donner gives a frustrated look and shake of his head, and then tells Steele and Laura that for their own good, they need to come up with the hardware. Dancer likes to use his gun. Look what he did to the doc. Give him an excuse and he'll do worse to all of you. And Remington says that, well, it could be in reception, and he starts to stand. But Donner tells him to stay put. He points to Laura and tells her to go. Dancer likes to look at pretty girls.
Ugh, gross.
Speaking to almost no one, Laura comments that this is the most bizarre Christmas Eve she's ever spent.
I like that line too. She's just like, fine, this is weird.
When Laura enters the reception, Dancer asks where she's going. She stops next to Mildred, saying, you want the agency gun? It might be out here. He tells her to sit down, take some weight off her lovely ankles.
There's a switch in the script here because that's not what he says in the script. He says, sit down and cross your lovely legs, which, ew. I'm very glad that they changed this because, he says, sit down, cross those pretty legs of yours. And then the direction says Laura sits on the couch defiantly pressing her legs together. I'm glad that they had him say take some weight off those lovely ankles of yours because the other one was just bleh, bleh.
Well, but that might have been more in keeping with his character.
Yeah, well, true. It's just bleh. He's gross.
The Dancer looks at Mildred, then tells her, you look, Brunhilde.
Okay.
And Mildred starts to make a smart remark, but then realizes the better of it.
So I looked up, do you know who Brunhilde is in like Germanic Norse mythology?
I looked it up and I didn't put it down.
Okay, because I just think this is cool because oftentimes you hear the word Brunhilde used to describe like a big, burly, butch type of woman who is like mannish looking or in some way unattractive. Mm-hmm. And he's using it as an insult to Mildred, but she's Valkyrie. She's one of the warrior women who serve Odin and choose who dies in battle. She defies Odin by saving a man he wanted to die, so he punishes her by putting her into a magical sleep behind a ring of fire. The hero, Sigurd, later rides through the flames, wakes her, and they fall in love. But through deception and betrayal, Sigurd ends up marrying another woman, Gudrun, while Brunhilde is tricked into marrying Gudrun's brother, Gunnar. When she discovers the betrayal, Brunhilde causes Sigurd's death and then kills herself, a tragic ending driven by love, honor, and vengeance. So it's kind of cool that she's being insulted, and I say this in quotes, and there's various different portrayals of these characters in different like operas and plays and things like that. She's being insulted by being called this name that supposedly brings these images of like mannish looking women that are butch or whatever, but this woman's badass. And Mildred turns out to be pretty badass in this episode. Like, she takes chances that we haven't really seen Mildred take. And so I think she should wear that as a badge of honor, that Brynhilde comment, personally.
Okay. Well, she stomps over to the filing cabinet, which is behind her desk, and begins looking through it. Jack asks Dancer if it's okay for him to get more eggnog, saying his throat is parched. In the corner, the plant lady is watering the plant. Dancer walks over and indignantly tells her that she's going to drown it. She turns to face him, and in an overwrought outburst tells him that it's dying. Don't you understand? It needs food and water and sunshine. It shouldn't be locked away here in this fluorescent dungeon.
She's great. She does such a fantastic, like Jennifer, like I said, she plays these weird and wacky characters, and she does it so well. She's got this really distinctive voice, but they've also got Eva being such a unique character that you would literally never think this is the person behind all of this.
Yes.
So it's great.
Well, Dancer asks if she's one of those hippies. And she got a peace sign tattooed on her butt. And this trot, she tells him, the plant's a living, breathing thing. And Laura, observing the confrontation, comes over, wraps her arms around the plant lady, and tells her that it's all right. And as Laura takes the plant lady over to the couch, Jack is observing their interaction. Dancer calls to him, calling him eggnog, then asking if he's one of those peaceniks too. He shakes his head. No, he's just a stockbroker. Dancer asks if he was in the army. Jack again shakes his head. No, he was 4F. He had rheumatic fever as a child. Dancer
I looked up both of these things because I obviously don't know how the U.S. military weeds people out or, disqualifies people, whatever. So I assumed when I saw the episode that 4F meant like you were physically not able to serve. But I actually, I looked up what that meant, like what would disqualify you. And according to this website, and it could be, I don't know if this was the same in the 80s or the 60s, 70s, what have you.
It would have been the 60s probably, yeah.
But it says the military has standards for fitness to be inducted in the military, and the purpose of the standards are to assure that the inductees are free of contagious diseases that probably will endanger the health of other personnel, free of medical conditions or physical defects that may require excessive time lost from duty or necessary treatment or hospitalization, or probably will result in separation from the service for medical unfitness, medically capable of satisfactorily completing required training, medically adaptable to the military environment without the necessity of geographical area limitations, medically capable of performing duties, blah, 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 and things like blindness, low vision, deafness, hard of hearing, history of bariatric surgery, anything that interferes with the proper wearing of a military uniform, HIV or AIDS, anaphylaxis, diabetes, rheumatologic conditions, migraine headaches. Woo! I am out. Ha! Sweet. And chronic insomnia. And so then I looked up rheumatic fever because I had never even really heard of this. And it's apparently an inflammatory disease that can involve the heart, joint, skin, and brain. And it typically develops 2 to 4 weeks after a strep throat infection. Signs and symptoms include fever, multiple painful joints, involuntary muscle movements, and occasionally a characteristic non-itchy rash known as erythrium marginatum. So the heart is involved in about half of these cases, and damage to the heart valves known as rheumatic heart disease usually occurs after repeated attacks, but sometimes can occur after one. So now I know. Now you know, because I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know all the different classifications, but yeah, 4F was basically, they were rejected on medical grounds.
Oh, my asthmatic migraine getting ass would not be allowed in the Army then.
Yeah.
Because I'm a mess.
Well, to Jack's response about the military question, Dancer is very contemptuous. He says, yeah, he bets he had a note from his doctor. And as this conversation is happening, Mildred, we see, has found the agency gun in the filing cabinet and carefully slipped it underneath her outer wrap.
Yep.
Laura gets up from consoling the plant lady and approaches Jack and Dancer, asking if Dancer was in the service. He hesitates and then says, yeah, he was. See any action, Laura asks. Well, Mildred has now moved behind Laura and is slowly pulling the agency gun out, preparing to do something with it.
Good for Mildred.
Dancer answers Laura saying, yeah, he saw action, enough to get a silver star. They don't just hand those around, you know. You got to waste a lot of slugs to get a silver star.
So And I'm guessing, like, you know more about this than I do, but I looked it up. Third highest military decoration for valor in combat. I'm guessing it's not how many slugs have you wasted. Here, have your award. I'm assuming
Gallantry
that
and
doesn't
service.
necessarily mean valor or gallantry, because that yeah.
No. That's just his definition of it.
Yeah, obviously.
Anyway, ad agency Allison stomps forward, cutting off Mildred and her sight and her vision and her clear shot as Allison indignantly declares that she's had just about enough of this. Her secretary knows she's down here, and if she doesn't return, he's going to get very suspicious. Incredulous Dancer hollers, "You got a guy for a secretary?" Well, ad agency Allison suddenly drops her indignant attitude and becomes very accommodating, saying, "Well, they are an equal opportunity employer."
I love the way she says this, though, because he's so, you got a guy for a secretary, and then she sort of, it's almost like a switch gets flipped.
Yeah.
And she goes to HR mode. "Oh, sure, we're an equal opportunity employer."
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I love it.
Well, Dancer's had it. He begins to yell, "You see, the world is upside down. A broad who's a dick, a guy who's a secretary. Somebody ought to drop the bomb so we can start all over again." And as Dancer rants, Mildred begins to pull the agency gun from her wrap. And as she does, Donner comes out of Steele's office, walks past her as he's telling Dancer that the office is as clean as a whistle. Well, Mildred grabs his arm, shoves the gun into his back, and tells Dancer to drop his gun or she's going to let Prancer have it. Yes. "Donner," he corrects. Mildred gives him a confused look.
Like, who cares?
But Dancer isn't intimidated.
Yeah.
If she drops him, he'll drop her. Or maybe he'll just blast right through Donner. And then when he goes down, and Donner, realizing that Dancer just might do it, panics and tries to protest.
Not kidding.
But Dancer tells him to shut up. He continues with the threats to Mildred, saying that either way, he's going to use her for target practice, again calling her Brunhilde.
Yeah.
Mildred, grimly determined look on her face, pulls back the hammer.
She doubles down, and I love it. I love that she doesn't back down. She's not intimidated by him. He's trying to bully her, and she's like, no, I'm not letting this happen.
While she's doing that, she had to let go of Donner. I mean, seriously, half of the value of the threat of holding somebody with a gun to their head is that you have a hold of them so you can hold the gun to their head.
But at the same time, Dancer's already said he doesn't care. So I think at this point, she's just like, who knows if she would have tried to fire it? We know that there's no bullets in it, but she seemed pretty serious, like not willing to give an inch here. And it's impressive. Go Mildred.
Yeah. Well, Steele comes flying across the room, knocking Donner and Mildred to the ground. And then after a moment of confusion, he grabs the agency gun, stands and takes aim at Dancer. Dancer, holding his gun on Steele, tells him, "Go ahead, pretty boy. Take your best shot. You get me before I get you, all these nice people can go home." Steele doesn't change his posture, but he doesn't make his move. And Jack urges Steele to go all Nike on Dancer and just do it. Ad agency Allison joins Jack in urging Steele to pull the trigger.
Which is interesting because the script has the name as Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dancer taunts Steele. "What's the matter, pretty boy? Ain't any of these slugs worth dying for?" And Laura and Mildred give Steele a desperate but questioning look. And after a moment, Steele carefully uncocks the revolver, turns it sideways in a gesture of submission, and says, "No." Mildred, her faith in Steele now totally crushed.
Yeah, but you
lets
can
out
see...
with a desperate and defeated, "Boss."
You can see there's also a look on Laura's face. And I don't want to say it's disappointed, but it's
confusion, shock.
Confused. That's the better word for it, because I don't think she thought he was actually going to put the gun down. That being said, would he have shot Dancer had it been loaded? Maybe.
I don't know.
He shot. The only argument I can think of for saying yes is that in Elegy and Steele, he shot the mirror, thinking that it was Descoing, and it turned out to be just a mirror. But that was a bit of a different situation. It was him, and it was one-on-one. Him and Descoing, theoretically. There's all these people around. And if anything goes wrong, a bullet goes in the wrong place, or Dancer decides he's not going to stop with Steele, other people could die. There's a part of me that thinks maybe he wouldn't have done it anyway, just because there were so many variables, and it's not a guarantee.
But in this particular situation, as presented, it might have been a good bet because he had basically a clear shot. The only people over by Dancer were Prancer and Donner.
Right.
So it's not like he was going to hit any of the civilians. And if Dancer is the only one with a gun, which actually they don't know at this point.
Yeah, that's my other thing, is they don't know that he's the only one armed.
But he's the only one they've seen with a gun. And you would think that at this point, if the others were armed, they would be displaying weapons as well. So, I mean, he has a shot to take out He has a shot at taking out Dancer and resolving this whole thing. And statistically, it might be a good bet.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, when I was in the military, we had some training classes, and one of them, the instructor said, here's this situation. You've got terrorists who have taken a nuclear weapon, who've captured a nuclear weapon, and they've got hostages, and they haven't captured the nuclear weapon. They've taken hostages. They're demanding a nuclear weapon. And the question was, would you be willing to replace one of the hostages so that they could live, since your security and they're just, not.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody in the class raises their hand and says, yes, 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 except me.
Yeah.
Except me. And boy, I got a lot of crap over it. And I said, look, guys, you can sit here and say you would do this all you want. But the fact is, this is a classroom situation. It's easy to say, yeah, you would do that. In a real life situation, you don't know. Unless you have been there, you don't know. So, like I say, statistically, taking the shot would probably be the wise move, but would he actually do it? Because statistics are easily overridden by the human factor. And when you're in that kind of a situation, you're not wanting to increase the likelihood of somebody being hurt by doing something and being wrong, or doing something and not succeeding at it. And so, I can see that he would have done it anyway. He would have put it down anyway.
He could always do what Keanu Reeves suggested doing in a terrorist situation: shoot the hostage. So in the movie Speed,
I mean, that solves the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the movie Speed, this is what I mean by, it's not, Speed is in no way a Christmas movie, but back when the movie came out in 1994, and my mom was trying to keep my sister and I from coming out of the bedroom because she had to put stuff under the tree, and my brothers were still young enough to believe in Santa, she handed us the movie and said, like, stay in your room and shut up. So every Christmas Eve we watch the movie Speed. It's just become a tradition. And there's a scene where Jack Traven, Keanu Reeves' character, he's basically a young SWAT officer who's kind of still training, and his superior officer, played by Jeff Daniels, says, hostage situation or scenario, pop quiz. There's a gunman holding hostages. He's in an airport. He's almost to a plane. You're 100 feet away. What do you do? And his response is, shoot the hostage. And he goes, what? And he says, go for the good wound, and you can't take her out of the equation. Go for the good wound. He can't get to the plane with her. Clear shot. And Jeff Daniels is like, you're deeply nuts. That shoot the hostage.
Well, there's actually some logic in that, because the hostage is their only leverage.
Yeah.
And if you take out the hostage, they've lost their leverage.
Well, and then slightly later on in the film, the terrorist actually has Jeff Daniels' character, and he's trying to get to the door, and he kind of mutters, shoot the hostage. So Keanu's character shoots him and gets a medal for it. So.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, if a doctor said, I can cure this disease by killing you, hey, you're dead. You don't have the disease anymore.
Hey.
Anyway, Steele bends down, carefully sets the gun on the floor, then complies with Dancer's instruction to kick it over to him. Dancer picks it up, slips it into his pocket. Then he grins at Steele and chuckles. And of course, Steele stands rigid, tenseness visible in his jaw.
Yeah.
As Laura looks at him, as we said, in disbelief, her faith and trust in him having to have taken a serious hit.
I don't think it's even because he didn't shoot. I think it's because Dancer said, aren't any of these people worth dying for?
And his response was no.
And he says no. That's the part, I think, that she's like, like, not that she wants him to die. She doesn't want him to die. And I think that's how she comes to
aren't
her.
I worth dying for? I mean, I thought we had something going here. Yeah, exactly.
And I do think that if he could save either her or Mildred by putting himself in harm's way, he would. And so that, I think, is where Laura's a little upset. She just doesn't understand what happened, because something happened that she is missing. And yeah.
But based on what she's seen, she doesn't like it.
No.
We have a time jump, and in the script, Jack Denver, eggnog, gleefully raids the liquor cabinet in Steele's office, gathering the bottles of gin, scotch, and vodka, and bourbon.
Wow. Okay. He's got a lot of booze in his office, apparently.
Dr. S. Wilson Scabbard lies on the couch, staring bleakly at the ceiling while Donner perches on the edge of the desk, quietly bored. Denver, provided I don't get my hind end shot off, this could well be the best Christmas I ever had. Scabbard, you're sick. You know that? Moans, oh, my foot. It's beginning to throb. Denver, relax, Doc. I'll make you a Denver special. One sip and you'll want to go out dancing.
So I kind of wish they had kept some of this, and not necessarily the whole like pulling out bourbon and scotch and all this, because I don't think Steele has all of that in his office, but it would have been nice if Jack had managed to find one bottle of something squirreled away somewhere, because and then to show that, because the thing that was confusing me throughout the episode and had confused me for years until I read the script was when he initially asked Mildred about the eggnog, and Mildred says, like, we wouldn't want to send anyone home half-gassed, that implies there's no alcohol in the eggnog. And then
my interpretation was that it was light on the eggnog, or light on the booze.
Oh, okay. But then it shows Jack getting steadily more and more drunk throughout the episode. Right. And I remembered watching it going, so was there alcohol in the eggnog, or where did he find the booze? So this would have answered that question, because he obviously would have poured it in the eggnog, and then that's why he keeps drinking it. But
the explanation we have to come up with from the episode as it exists is that there was alcohol in the eggnog, but not a lot. But he drank so much of it that he became drunk. Yeah.
That would be hard to have happen over, because if you're drinking over a long period of time, your body would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it would have been nice to have seen some evidence that there was extra alcohol added, because he does get more and more inebriated as the episode goes on.
Well, and the next scene would have addressed that as well, because in the reception area, the occupants have split off into dejected groups: Mildred, Remington, Laura and Allison, Prancer, and Eva. Only Dancer is, as always, isolated physically as well as emotionally. Faces gleam with perspiration and clothes stick uncomfortably to the skin. Except, of course, for Dancer, who appears cool and crisp, even under his beard and Santa suit. Denver takes his booty, all the booze, to Mildred's desk, upending each bottle into the punch bowl.
This is what I mean. Like, it would have made sense to see that.
Yeah. And then, of course, Prancer's asking, why is it so damn hot in here? Laura says they turn off the air conditioning at night. Prancer, then open some windows. Allison, they don't open.
They do. We've seen them.
Yes.
When it's convenient to the plot. I wish they had kept this line in there too, because we see them getting progressively sweatier throughout the episode with not really any real explanation for it.
Yeah. Well, next we see the hostages and hostage takers alike sitting, standing, pacing. The only thing seemingly happening is Jack is trying to get drunk by consuming all the eggnog. Interesting what Laura is doing in the background. Plant Girl seems like the type who would be doing the meditation, and later she is, the cosmic woo-woo thing. But it seems, lemon meringue. But it seems that Laura's doing some woo-woo thing herself. I mean, she's sitting there. She's got her hands in this. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
I think she's just trying to calm herself down. Like they're all scared, and.
Yeah, she's got her hands together with her thumbs to her fingers, and they're up at the side of her head, and she's slowly lowering them, and she's doing like this, meditation type thing, probably calm herself down. But it's just interesting to see her doing it.
Yeah,
which we've never seen her do anything like this before.
No, because she's always so in control, and she always seems to be the one not panicking and.
Even when the situation is out of her control, she seems to feel like she's in control.
Yeah, but I think this maybe this is maybe a little bit different, because Dancer is not all there. let's just,
That's right.
he's a few crayons short of a box, you know?
And he's eating them.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the unpredictability of Dancer, I think, has rattled Laura, especially with what she just saw with Steele, not being able to fire the gun. Like, that heightens things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Mildred is sitting next to Steele, fanning him and herself with a festive red napkin. And Mildred, mistaking his preoccupation for humiliation, begins to console him over his decision not to shoot Dancer, saying that she doesn't know what anyone would have done in that situation. He lets out a breath and then tells her that it may have been more of a risk than she thinks. He clears his throat. As he does, the throat clears to cover himself as he rises slightly.
Yeah.
He pulls his left hand out of his pocket to reveal the ammunition that should have been in the agency gun.
Yeah.
And he slips his hand back in with the ammo into the pocket and tells Mildred that he found them in his office. And stiffly, Mildred asks if he really means that the gun wasn't loaded and he
She's
knew
horrified.
it all the time.
Yeah.
And he grins at her as she realizes that she could have gotten her head blown off for nothing.
Yeah. I like that he tells her here. He doesn't tell her to redeem himself. He tells her to reassure, like, basically to show her how close she came to death because she didn't know, and maybe to ward her off trying it again if she gets a hold of the gun a second time, because there's nothing in them in the gun. Like,
yeah.
So,
well, Steele takes a deep breath and tells her that maybe he can find a use for the rounds later. Mildred asks Steele what he thinks the Santas want. And Steele doesn't answer directly, saying only that the only thing they know for certain is that they chose this building for a reason and that they want him specifically. And he turns his head slightly to look at her as he says that to emphasize the last point. Well, Prancer is getting antsy. He calls out to Dancer, "Where's Blitzen?" And he steps over to Dancer, leans down, and demands to know when they're going to get on with this thing. Dancer continues to just sit calmly, unfazed, petting the side of his gun like it was his pet.
yeah, he's really weird.
And he tells Prancer to relax, that everything's moving right on schedule. What schedule? Prancer demands to know, emphasizing the question by pointing out that Dancer's the only one who knows the schedule.
Yeah.
And more Prancer and Donner are starting to look to be nothing more than useful idiots for Dancer. They
Pretty
apparently
much
signed on to the gig without knowing really what the goal was.
They know nothing about it. And really, neither does Dancer. He thinks he does.
Yeah, he thinks he does, but they definitely don't. So Jack, who's been obviously significantly relaxed from his alcohol consumption, jumps in the somewhat non sequitur statement that if you look hard enough, there's a silver lining in every cloud. And he takes a gulp of his eggnog. The Dancer, slightly annoyed, I mean, who wouldn't be annoyed at Jack at this point, asks, "Yeah, what's yours?" Jack thinks for a fraction of a second, then says, "Well, I'm here. And Judith's in Sherman Oaks." He laughs and then continues, "Do you know what? Do you know that for the past 13 years, that harpy's told me how to decorate the tree? The stars crooked, Jack. Watch the lights, Jack. Don't let them touch the carpet, Jack. You want to start a fire, Jack? Damn right I want to start a fire under her." And Dancer chuckles.
It's hilarious. Like, it's so funny. And again, I think Peter Jurasik, chef's kiss, he's perfect. But just the calling her a harpy, and then all of the do you want to start a fire, Jack? Yeah, I want to start a fire under her.
And he lifts his mug in a toast, saying, "Here's to captivity. Long may it last."
Like, he'd rather be here. He would literally rather be here than be home with his wife.
That's right.
Oh, ouch.
And as he lifts his glass to take another drink, Dancer shoots the cup, proving that the suppressor really didn't affect his aim, as you said. He actually was shooting at the doctor's foot. And, of course, the cup shatters, sending eggnog flying and splattering all over Jack. And with a menacing sense of delight, Dancer stands and starts moving toward Jack, telling him, "I like you, eggnog, even if you are one of those dirty draft dodgers." And with Dancer getting in his face and the gun in his face as well, Jack starts to whine, making the excuse that he wanted to go desperately. But the old ticker, what could I do? And angrily, Dancer accuses him of profiteering like every other smart guy did, staying home and raking in the bread while Dancer was up to his elbows in slime.
There is a script change here too, and it's a really good one, because instead of slime, he says a nasty racial slur that starts with a G. So, yeah.
I missed that one. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a, you know the word, I'm hoping you know the word because I don't want to say it, but yeah, that was altered and switched out for slime, so, which I can see why.
Yeah. The phone rings, momentarily breaking the tension and Dancer's anger. Then he directs Laura to answer it. She picks up the receiver and says, Remington Steele Investigations. Then after a slight pause adds, Happy holidays, with slight snark attitude in her voice.
Yeah.
As she listens, we see the plant lady slowly moving toward Dancer. After a moment, Laura puts the receiver to her shoulder to cover the mouthpiece and tells Dancer and Jack, it's the shrew of Sherman Oaks. Dancer flatly says he left. Laura passes on the message, adding that he left hours ago. Plant lady tugs on Dancer's sleeve and asks if she can please be excused. And as Laura hangs up the phone, Plant lady begins doing the potty dance, explaining that she has to go to the bathroom. Please, she's going to embarrass herself if she doesn't get to the bathroom.
I'm wondering how Jack has gone this long without going to the bathroom. That man's been like downing eggnog like you wouldn't believe.
Well, I was going to bring this up later. I got to do it now.
Sorry.
When I drive, I drive, Uber and Lyft like 10 hours a day. And I've got one of those cups. It's like the Yeti cup, only I didn't have to pay for the label. So it was a lot cheaper. And I drink water all day. And I will fill that thing up 4 or 5 times during the course of the day and drink it. And so at various times, I have to go relieve myself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I drink a lot of water in between stops. And I'll pick up the story at a little bit later point because it comes back into it.
I'm really grateful that you said that the cup was for drinking water and not for... Anyway, I know some truck drivers that keep a cup for other reasons. So
yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dancer's anger flares again at Plant Lady and says, I thought you flowered children let it all hang out. Why don't you go behind the plant like we had to do in the jungle? And she stares at him with harshly critical look.
Does he really want her to do that, though? Does he really want her to go and pee behind the plant? Because I think that would start to smell.
He just likes provoking people.
I know.
But yeah, he would probably get upset if she did. Anyway, Steele distractedly says that there's a bathroom in his office, no windows, no way out. And Dancer gives permission and the plant lady leaves, although she bumps into Dancer as if trying to pass between them, between Dancer and Jack. But of course, Dancer doesn't move, so she backs away and goes around
him. Yeah.
Well, the phone rings again, and Jack, assuming it's his wife calling again, apologetically tells Dancer she's relentless. She'll call back every 15 seconds, probably terrified I'm having a good time. And Laura answers the phone, and without preamble or waiting to hear who it is on the phone, immediately begins saying, I told you, Mrs. Dendra, there's no one here. She stops, listens, and she again puts the phone to her shoulder and then glances at Steele before telling Dancer it's for him, meaning Remington. Dancer tells Steele to take it. Steele gets up, walks to the desk, and takes the phone. He listens for a moment and then slowly repeats, Albert Hastings? Laura whispers, he owns the building. I'm guessing no single person has ever owned the Century Towers, but that it's always been owned by a corporation. Alcoa Properties apparently being the first company to own it, as they were the company that had it built. Anyway, Steele listens further and then, looking at Dancer, asks if he by any chance had a Christmas present delivered to Mr. Hastings in Steele's name. From the script, Remington, yes, sorry, Mr. Hastings, holiday diversions. Gift, you said, from me?
I Googled it. Sorry, I Googled it, and you're right. No single person has ever owned the Century City Towers. Sorry, I just was curious.
Startled, he covers the mouthpiece and turns to Dancer. Remington, by any chance, are you here to blow up the building? Dancer simply smirks, but a palpable fear ripples through the rest of the room. Remington, into the phone. Yes. Very damn poor joke, especially on Christmas Eve. And although the words are indistinguishable, we can hear Hastings ranting on the other end of the line. Picking it up, Dancer says to tell him to shut up and look out his window. Steele tells Hastings that it's nothing personal, but shut up and look out your window.
I love the way he says it too.
And Hastings obviously took exception to Steele saying this. Steele repeats, yes, sir, that's what I said. Shut up and look out the window. And after a moment, he covers the mouthpiece with his hand and tells Laura that Hastings says he's going to break their lease and that he never wanted a private investigator in the building in the first place. They attract the wrong sort of people to his building.
I love how he says this with just deadpan calm. Like there's no, I don't know, just the delivery is so spot on where he's like, yep, he says he's going to break our lease. Never wanted a private investigator in here in the first place. They attract the wrong sort of people. Case in point.
Well, after listening a moment further, Steele tells Dancer that Hastings is at the window. What does he see is the instruction from Dancer. Steele repeats the instruction and then reports that Hastings sees this building. Dancer looks at his watch and then says to tell Hastings to keep watching. Steele finally lets a hint out that there is somebody else here pulling the strings when he says to Hastings, the advice I get is to keep watching. And for several tense seconds, nothing happens except increasing tension in the faces of the hostages. Suddenly, there's an explosion near the top of the building. Lights darken momentarily as the office is shaken and everyone grabs onto something to steady themselves. After things stop shaking, Dancer hands Steele a note directing him to read it to Hastings. You had a comment?
Okay. I don't know much about what would and would not.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't the building still be on fire? And wouldn't they have it took out an entire floor. I realize it's not going to destroy the whole building, but I would think it would cause a fire that would spread. It just seems that it blows up the top floor and then everything's fine after that. And I find that very odd.
Yeah, there would probably be some fire. Presumably they would also have to call in the fire department to deal with that.
Well, yeah, which apparently doesn't happen because Donner is looking out the window later on like, there's nothing stirring out here.
Yeah. So
weird.
It does seem a little bit odd. Can't come up with an explanation as to why it wouldn't have happened that way.
Cool.
I mean, there are some explosives. There are some explosives that are not designed to start fires, but that sometimes do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got your flashbangs, which are loud and flashy, but
that's not what this was. Because
it wouldn't typically create damage like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit odd, but
it does some significant damage.
Yeah.
So
we just have to assume that there's some fire going on, and when Donner says that there's nothing happening out there, he's meaning anything yet, or where he's looking, he's not seeing anything. But anyway, Steele says, I've just been handed a note to read to you. Unless I receive $2 million with non-consecutive serial numbers by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, your building will be blown up one floor at a time. And the script version actually ties into something that was said earlier, where Steele said they picked him specifically. Because in the script version, it's I've just been handed something to read to you. As you know, I am a reputable private investigator, so you must believe me when I tell you that the situation here is extremely serious. Unless I receive $2 million in denominations no larger than 100s with non-consecutive serial numbers, your building will be blown up one floor at a time. So that should have been left in, because that ties back into his comment about
I agree.
They picked him for a reason.
Because when he says that, prior to reading the script, when he says that, I always thought of that as an odd statement for him to make, because they could have taken any building hostage. It really wouldn't have mattered unless they're looking for his reputation or what have you. And Steele just assuming that, I guess, fits with his ego, but doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. Right. Whereas this verifies it, as you said. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Steele hangs up and Dancer joyfully declares, Merry Christmas, everybody. May we all live to see the new year. And he begins to laugh. Back from the break, Prancer is pacing nervously. Mildred is stress eating cookies. And Plant Lady is sitting, legs
I love
crossed.
that Mildred's stress eating. That's what I'd be doing. I gotta say, literally what I would be doing. I would be like, Jack's pounding back the eggnog. I'd be eating the cookies.
And Plant Lady is sitting, legs crossed, palms up, chanting, "Oh, what a goose I am. Oh, what a goose I am." Mildred gives Plant Lady a curious look. Jack has found a replacement cup, and though still covered with dried eggnog, continues to down even more of the drink, though clearly not feeling any better for it as he finishes his drink and then grabs his stomach.
Yeah.
And Dancer.
Can you imagine? Because not just the alcohol, which would.
So many eggs.
All the dairy.
Raw eggs. Well, I guess, no, they are cooked, aren't they?
Well, no, because when it's homemade, it's from what I understand, it's raw. I think the stuff you get in the stores
pasteurized
has to be because of legal restrictions on selling stuff with raw eggs. But I'm pretty sure homemade eggnog is made with raw eggs.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm wrong, tell me because I've never made it. So. Yeah.
Anyway, from the script, Remington's office, dark, moonlight streaming in through the windows. Donner peers cautiously through the curtains at the street below. Laura kneels at the end of the couch, undoing the tie around the still prone, still moaning Dr. Scabbard. Remington perches on the arm, holding a damp washcloth. With a glance toward Donner, Remington, "At least we know why they chose this office. They needed Remington Steele to lend veracity to their demands." Laura, "Sometimes I wish your reputation wasn't so damned impeccable." Remington, "Come on, Laura. You've labored long and hard to make me what I am." And Donner's perplexed. "It doesn't make any sense. Nothing stern out there. Not a car, a person, nothing. I mean, that wasn't exactly a firecracker that went off."
So have you seen Die Hard?
No.
Okay, so this is why I think this is hilarious because, like I said, this episode predates Die Hard. Die Hard came out in 88. This came out in 86. And I'm not saying they took inspiration from this episode because they probably hadn't seen it, but there are so many similarities with the two. And one of them is that when the terrorists take this building, which is, I believe, in the century, it's not supposed to be, but they filmed it at
as the Century Towers,
because it's called the Nakatomi Plaza. And
you're making it sound like they actually use this episode as their inspiration.
Honestly, I don't think they did. Because that would be kind of obscure. But there's a scene where they've taken them hostage. They're holding them there. They are pretending to be terrorists with a political cause, but it turns out it's just money they want to steal. And Bruce Willis's character is attempting to get a hold of the authorities to let them know something is wrong. He sets off a fire alarm, but they end up having somebody down at the front desk call the fire department and say, "Oh yeah, that was just a mistake. It's fine. Don't worry about it." And the fire truck turns around and you see Willis at the window going, "No, turn around." And so he makes his way up to the roof and he manages to kill one of them and get one of their walkie-talkies, and he gets through to an emergency channel through the walkie-talkie. Mm-hmm. And he yells, "Mayday, Mayday," and he starts to give all the information, which of course the terrorists can also hear. So he's putting himself at risk by doing this. And the woman on the other end of the line, she says, "Sir, this is an emergency channel." And he says, "No effing bleep, lady. Does it sound like I'm ordering a pizza?" And she's like, "Well, sir, if you don't hang up, we'll have to come down here." And he's like, "Fine, come down here, arrest me, but send somebody." And so it just made me think of that because in here we are, there's been a giant explosion and nobody's shown up.
Well, Scabbard asks, "Doesn't anybody know what's going on around here?" And Steele responds with, "The taking of Pelham 123. Well, Scabbard doesn't understand, but Steele gives the citation: Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw, United Artists, 1974. And Scabbard is aghast that they're all going to die like dogs, and he's talking about a movie. Laura explains that movies often help Mr. Steele clarify a situation. Then, just to make sure, she cautiously asks, "That is what you're doing, isn't it?"
Yeah. Sometimes it's not what he's doing.
Steele expounds. Yeah, like when he's trying to get Laura to buy him the MGM collection on videotape.
Catalog, yeah.
Steele expounds. 4 men take a subway train hostage. They demand ransom or they'll kill all the passengers. The only problem is, once they get the money, how do they get away? In a subway? The train's movement is electronically charted from above. Donner, who's not been paying much attention to what's been going on around him, suddenly realizes that Laura and Steele are talking, but he's not close enough to hear what they're saying, so he demands to know what are they talking about. And the good doctor, somewhat irritated at the topic of conversation because he still doesn't understand the deeper meaning, answers subway trains with a
which is probably a good
tone.
thing that he doesn't get it, because then he doesn't give away that they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Well, satisfied, Donner wanders back toward the windows. Laura recognizes that their captors are in much the same predicament as the four men in the movie. The explosion draws the police seal off the building. How do the Santas get out? Steele suggests that Blitzen has a plan. Or as the Queen in The Great Mouse Detective said, "We have a plan." Laura tells him that she's in no mood to sit around and wait for him to make fools out of them. Steele reminds her that Dancer has a gun.
Yeah.
Two, actually, Laura corrects, and Steele suggests that it would be helpful to know if the other Santas are armed. Laura suggests that there is a way to find out. She starts to stand, pulling Scabbard's foot as she does, causing him to wince.
This is funny.
Steele grabs Laura's arm and asks if the escapade with the gun lowered her estimation of him.
This is sweet.
She tells him that, in her opinion, both he and Mildred were far too reckless. She says it with the slightest hint of a smile.
I love this for two reasons. One, he doesn't tell her he had the bullets.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to know if she still respects him, if she still sees him the same way.
She respect him in the morning.
Well, you know what I mean? He needs to know that he didn't disappoint her, because he had no other.
That's what I said.
Wow. Okay. You know what I mean. He saw that look on her face, and he just wants to know that he doesn't have to qualify it or explain it or whatever, that if he made that choice, that she's not looking at him like he's any less than he is. And then she gives it, shut up, you're ruining it.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go.
He's ruining it perfectly good. Anyway, then she gives him that answer that he needs. Whether or not she feels that way, I think she does. I think she does at the end of the day recognize that his behavior, his actions could have, if the gun had been loaded, could have gotten him killed. But she, instead of saying, well, you could have tried, or yeah, I was kind of disappointed or anything, she just says that you and Mildred were far too reckless. She sees what he needs to hear and she gives it to him. And it's really sweet. And then he still doesn't tell her.
Mm-hmm.
He kisses her, but he doesn't say, by the way, just so you know, I'm a hero because the gun wasn't loaded. I saved Mildred. He doesn't need to do that. He's gotten the answer he wanted from her, that he needed to hear. And so he doesn't feel the need to kind of clarify it to her or make him out. It's one of the few times he doesn't take the opportunity to aggrandize himself in some way.
Yeah.
And it's really nice, because she does end up finding out, but not from him. Yeah. So.
Well, Laura rises and begins pacing, her agitation slowly turning to hysteria.
I love this.
This is crazy, she says in a seemingly stressed manner. And Donner, even though he's only about as sharp as a spoon, knows enough to instruct her to sit back down.
Yeah.
Laura doesn't obey and goes into her rant. This is cruel and inhuman and crazy. Why are you doing this to us? Why are you keeping us here? What do you want? And again, Donner insists that she sit, but she doesn't comply. I can't sit down. I can't sit down anymore. The heat, the fear. And Steele and Scabbard look at each other in amazed confusion as Laura launches herself at Donner and wraps her arms around him and begins to give him a secret pat down as she concludes her act.
But she's good.
Please let us go. Please, we won't tell anyone. We promise. We swear.
Because she's basically playing the part of the hysterical woman that would be totally believable to somebody like Donner. Mm-hmm. And that gets her access to his person, and she's able to frisk him. It's fabulous.
He finds out that no, that's not a gun in his pocket.
Ew.
Donner, who is apparently feeling the stress as much or more than the hostages, begins hollering at Laura, saying he's not too happy about things himself. Now don't make it any worse. And he shoves her back toward the couch. She lands on the couch beside Steele, lets out a loud sob, and then quietly tells Steele he's clean, then lets out with a few more distraught sounding sobs. Steele pats her arm and tells her that although it worked once, he doesn't think Prancer's going to go for an encore. Laura suggests that Mildred might be able to do something, so pretending that she's regained most of her composure, she walks over to Donner, who again directs her to sit. She tells them she needs a drink. Can she get something to drink?
Yeah.
Donner tells her, yeah. Oh, and bring me one too. Laura enters the reception area where Plant Lady is still chanting. Laura and Dancer give each other hard looks, and then Laura goes to sit beside Mildred. But before they can talk, Jack starts losing it, a combination of the booze and the stress. He starts disparagingly repeating her name to himself. Judy, Judy, Judy. When he notices Dancer staring at him, Jack begins babbling at him. She's not a bad woman, really? She's not mean intentionally. She doesn't even know she's nagging me to death. She just wants the best for me and the kids. She stays at home and cooks and cleans. There's always a fresh pie in the oven. Does the kids' homework for them.
Okay.
Miss her.
I'm gonna have to criticize the Shrew of Sherman Oaks here. Like, stay home, cook, clean, put a fresh pie in the oven.
Does the kids' homework for them?
You do you. But does the kids' homework for them is where I draw the line. Those kids are learning nothing. Okay? They are learning nothing if mom is doing their homework. So, mom,
they're learning how to let mom do their homework.
Yeah, you need to stop doing the kids' homework. Let them do their homework, or they're not going to. Anyway.
Yeah.
The rest, fine. You know, you do you, but don't do your kids' homework. No.
Well, Dancer doesn't appreciate this. He steps over to confront Jack and cruelly tells him, I liked you better when you didn't. And Jack gets down on his knees in front of Dancer and begins begging, oh, please, let me call her. Let me tell her how much I love her. She deserves to hear that. I haven't said that to her in 5 years.
In the script, it's 10 years.
And, of course, Dancer says, no, sorry, Eggnog. Got to keep those lines open. And Jack begins crying, talking to Judith, asking her how he can make it up to her. And Dancer bends down to look at Jack close up and asks, hey, you really want to do something for your old lady? Oh, yes. Dancer pulls Jack to his feet and says, have you considered medical assistance in dying? No, wait, I'm sorry, that's Canada Health. He asks, how much insurance you got? Confused, Jack asks, why? Dancer holds up his gun and points it, then tells Jack, 1 pill, back of the head, quick, painless, a great Christmas present. Every time she spends a dime, she thinks of you.
I always thought he said 1 kill, but the script says 1 pill, and I don't, is pill a euphemism for bullet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because that, when I saw the script, I was like, a pill in the back of the head? That doesn't make any sense. That makes, okay.
Well, wide-eyed Jack drunkenly says, well, I don't love her that much.
That is hilarious. I don't love her that much. Like, no thanks.
Well, Mildred looks at Laura and is shocked at Dancer's audacious suggestion.
Yeah.
Prancer, who's also apparently being stressed out by the situation, goes over to Plant Lady and insists that she put a lid on it. She ignores him, so he hits her again, demanding that she shut up. She mindlessly tells him that she's not here. She's in a green space. The sun is warm on her face, a cold breeze rippling her hair. Peace and contentment far away from this foul, vicious place.
I don't know about you, but sometimes I think I repeat that in my head at work. Peace and contentment.
1 pill, boss,
Yeah.
1 pill.
Just back of the head. Oh.
Dancer seemingly comes to her defense, telling Prancer to leave her alone. She's a flower child, filled with peace and love for all mankind. But then his attitude becomes hostile as he finishes. Ain't that right, Dipsy?
Yeah.
She covers her ears and begins chanting louder. And Dancer yells angrily at her, I bet you used to run around sticking flowers in guns, huh? Well, Plant Lady stops chanting and angrily tells him that if she had a gun right now, she knows where she'd stick it.
I love that line.
Dancer turns to face Laura and Mildred, pointing out that it doesn't take much to push even the most peaceful soul over the edge. And Laura stands to confront Dancer. As Mildred grabs her arms, Laura sneers, "I'll bet you enjoy that, don't you? Pushing people over the edge." "Everybody's got to have a hobby," he tells her. Prancer starts to crack, hollering that his hobby ain't dying. "Look, we're trapped here. Any minute they'll come blasting through the doors. This isn't what I signed on for." "Then what did you sign on for, Donner?" Laura asks him, almost certainly intentionally calling him by the wrong name. And of course, the misidentification triggers it. "Prancer! I'm Prancer, for God's sake!"
I mean, you get that name right. It matters.
That's right. And Laura insincerely says, "Sorry." And desperately he says, all he was supposed to do was sit on some people for a few hours and he'd walk away with $5,000. $5,000 on Christmas ain't nothing to sneeze at, he says. He's been out of work for 8 months. They cut off his unemployment. His kids walk around with newspapers in their shoes like it's the Depression or something. Now he doesn't care about the dough. He just wants to walk away with his skin.
So, again, I am not defending turning to a life of crime when you're facing hard times.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's interesting that the episode went to these lengths to show not just like that Dancer's a few, ornaments short of a Christmas tree, but also that seasonal. You see what I did there?
Yeah, I see.
But also the two reasons why the kind of like more goofy idiots of Donner and Prancer are involved in this, because I mean we find out later that Donner needs the money to go to trial, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, really.
It's not exactly the kind of fundraising you want to do, but like, yeah. But this guy has literally become so desperate because of their financial situation, because he lost his job, that he was pulled into this. And obviously he wasn't told the full scope of what he was going to have to do. He knew enough of it that it sounded good. It probably sounded less harmful than it actually turned out to be.
Yeah, really.
Which, again, not justifying or defending it. There are better ways to try to feed your family on Christmas rather than doing this. But I did think it was interesting that they sort of humanized him a little bit, because it I think was meant to show, because again, they're not trying to advance a social message here in the episode, but they didn't have to give him this backstory. So yeah.
Well, Dancer walks toward Prancer, saying he had a lieutenant like that in his outfit once. And he calmly says, "Fragged him." Which, for anybody who is not familiar with the term, it's the deliberate attempted killing or successful killing of a soldier, usually a superior officer by a fellow soldier.
I figured.
U.S. military personnel coined the word during the Vietnam War, when such killings were most often committed or attempted with a fragmentation grenade to make it appear that the killing was either accidental or occurred during combat with the enemy. The term fragging now encompasses any deliberate killing of a military colleague. So, sounding as if he's about ready to break into tears, Prancer begs, "The joint is probably crawling with cops, so at least give me a piece." Dancer's got two. Prancer doesn't even have a penknife. Well, Dancer gives Prancer a look and then, after a moment, tosses the agency gun to him, telling him in a menacing manner, "Careful you don't shoot off a vital organ." And Laura quietly lets out with a sad, "Great, now they're both armed." And Mildred quietly says, "Not really." And Laura gives her a quizzical look. Mildred tells her that the agency gun doesn't have any bullets in it. The boss has them. And Laura stares at Prancer in disbelief, then whispers back to Mildred, "Did he know that when he had the gun?" Mildred confirms. "He saved my life." And they both get grins on their face. And Laura proudly says, "Quite an actor, our Mr. Steele."
Yeah, like this is at the risk of triggering your brain and where it's going to go. Laura's probably thinking that she needs to find a way to thank him later, because and I know I don't mean what you're thinking. I just mean that she's like that added layer of respect sort of added on to what already...
Especially since there's no bullets in his gun.
Yeah, well, I mean, oh God.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a drink every time Eric twists something I say. Makes it, and if you do, You'll get as drunk as eggnog does in this episode.
Anyway, back in Steele's office, Steele's been pacing. He sits down beside Scabbard, discreetly showing him the ammunition, and then tells Scabbard to tell Donner that he has to go to the bathroom. Scabbard cluelessly argues that he doesn't have to go to the bathroom. And Steele grimaces with an, I can't believe this guy's so stupid look, leans forward, reaches out, and hits the doctor's injured foot, causing him to yelp in pain. Donner quickly turns around and asks what the problem is. Scabbard says, I have to go to the bathroom. Steele tells Donner that he'll help the doctor. Scabbard hops, probably exaggerated the need for hopping, as Steele helps him to the bathroom. And once they get in, Scabbard tells Steele, well, now that they're here, maybe he does have to go. And this is where I finish that story. You know, when I'm drinking all this water as I'm driving around, I only hit the relief station 2, maybe 3 times over the course of a 10-hour period, despite having drunk all this water. But usually, you know, it's one of these things where, okay, I probably ought to take the chance. I'm near a gas station. I've just finished a ride. Yeah. Probably ought to go do it. But the closer I get to the gas station and the closer I get to the bathroom, you're like, oh, the more urgent it suddenly becomes. It's like this Pavlovian response to proximity.
That makes sense. That actually makes sense. And as a teacher, I have become like disturbingly adept at not going to the bathroom when I should, because we can't just walk out of the classroom. If we have to go, we have to wait. And, you know, there is not enough time in between classes. So I get to work. I go the whole morning and then I don't get to use the bathroom till lunch. So, yeah.
Well, Steele puts Scabbard off, telling him that he's going to have to maneuver Prancer out of the room. And Scabbard corrects him, saying, that's Donner. Whoever it is, Steele says. Once he gets him out, Scabbard needs to build a fire in the wastebasket. It has to be absolutely white hot. So use as much paper as he can possibly find. Then handing him the ammunition, tells him to throw the ammo into the fire. Scabbard doesn't understand, so Steele explains. If they're living right, they should explode, hopefully diverting Dancer long enough for Steele to get his gun. Scabbard panics, saying he doesn't think he can do that. Steele puts his arm on Scabbard's shoulder, and then in an over-the-top, seriously inspirational tone, and I put that in sarcasm quotes, he tells the doctor that ordinary men in extraordinary situations often find courage they never knew they had. I think you're that kind of man, doctor. Well, Scabbard looks at him, seemingly still unconvinced. So Steele goes with the more self-serving approach, telling him that if that appeal doesn't sway him, then think of his branch office in Encino. Well, that does it. Scabbard immediately tells Steele to give him the bullets. Well, Steele does, and pats Scabbard on the shoulder, and when Scabbard isn't looking, rolls his eyes. Now, I got a problem with this, because 2 problems, actually. If you start a fire in a building like that, you're going to set off the sprinklers. First problem right there. They're going to get wet.
Maybe not in the bathroom. Maybe there's no sprinklers in the bathroom.
They've still got fire smoke detectors in there and sensors, and it's going to put it off because they want to put that fire out before it damages the building, because you don't want to fight a fire in a high rise. And then the other problem is that if they are successful and those rounds start going off, where are those bullets going to go?
I would think in the walls and
anybody that happens to be standing in front of them.
Well, there's nobody in the bathroom. Well, I guess he doesn't know that somebody could go in there to use it. You're right. Yeah.
Scabbard could stay in there stoking the fire.
True.
And,
yeah, that's true.
Anyway, next, Steele exits the bathroom.
I don't think Steele cares whether Scabbard lives or dies.
Well, that's probably true at this point. Let's get Jack in there, too. Steele exits the bathroom, leaving Scabbard inside, and when Donner asks if the doc is all right, Steele dismissively says, sure, it was just nerves like the rest of us. Then walking Donner toward the door of the outer office, casually asks if they should see what's keeping Miss Holt with those drinks. And Donner, exasperated, says he doesn't know how he got it roped into this. Well, that's not true. He wanted the money. Steele asks Donner if he thinks he'll live to spend it. Donner confides that he wanted it to hire a lawyer. He's set to go to trial next week on a little job that went sour.
Yeah, that's
Then he admits that 3 years in the slammer doesn't look too bad right now.
I wonder, I wish wish we had gotten, and this is if anyone wants to write this fan fiction, feel free. But I wish we had gotten some information on how they did get roped into it. Did they put out did Eva or whoever she is put out an ad in the classifieds, like wanted
Probably.
3 men for robbery? Please have references. 2 must be an idiot. Like, how did that go? And then, how did she? I'm just curious as to how this got organized.
Yes, that's a question that is definitely
World's
out there,
weirdest
needs answered.
classified ad.
Well, Steele suggests that Donner could help them, and Donner's eyes go wide in disbelief. Go against Dancer? He asks, obviously not liking the suggestion. Steele nods, but Donner says, no, he'll take his chances with the cops. And Steele gives a slight grunt, then walks into the reception office with Donner following. The phone rings. Dancer walks over to Mildred's desk and answers it with, yeah. He pauses and then says, it took you guys long enough to get here. Another pause. Hold on to your pants. He'll be out in a minute. He gestures to Steele, telling him to go talk to the guys in blue. Let him know how serious he is and his compatriots are, and to tell them to make way for Blitzen. Steele walks toward the front door of the agency suite, and Prancer opens it to let him out. As he steps through the door, he raises his hands and turns and walks down the hall to where he meets a gaggle of SWAT officers and one unhappy man in a business suit, Mr. Albert Hastings, the alleged owner of the building. The officer in charge, who happens to be named Grogan.
Except I never say that, so throughout my
true.
notes, I wrote my notes before I read the script, so I just kept writing SWAT guy,
Yeah.
SWAT guy, because I'm like, I don't know what this guy's name is. They don't.
He's probably
say it.
Eddie's brother. But anyway, starts to speak to Steele, but he's cut off by the man in the suit who angrily demands to know, what is Steele doing to his building? And
because he's doing it.
Barely pausing long enough to take a breath, he demands that Steele march right back in there and tell those hoodlums that the authorities take a very dim view of the destruction of private property.
My response would be, after you. Go for it. You go in there and you tell him that.
Well, Steele fires back angrily, demanding to know, what about the people in there? And Hastings casually says, well, them too, of course.
Sure. Yeah, they're an afterthought.
Yeah, and that's what I've got in there. That's the exact word, afterthought. Grogan barks, how many hostages? 7, including me, Steele informs him. Plus Dancer, Donner, and Prancer. Reindeer? Grogan asks in a totally serious manner, not even questioning the absurdity of the names in the question.
Does he think there's actually reindeer in the office?
Code names, Steele explains. They're all dressed up as Santas. How apropos, Hastings sarcastically quips. Steele continues informing Grogan that only one's armed, but that he's the most dangerous. Grogan reports that the bomb squad's going through the building, but so far, nothing. Steele, trying to be helpful, suggests that the bomb squad check anything wrapped as Christmas presents. Santa delivering Christmas gifts on Christmas Eve wouldn't even arouse a suspicion.
I would think that they would be doing that anyway.
Yeah, I got a feeling they know their job, but they may not have realized that. Well, of course, they wouldn't have realized that the men are in Santa suits.
Yeah, that they were in
Santa
Santa suits.
That does change the parameters of what they would be looking for. So it's actually a good suggestion. Anyway, Grogan somewhat rhetorically asks how they expect to get out of the building. And Steele passes on the final message from Dancer that addressed that question. They're waiting for another Santa, Blitzen. He's the one with the escape plan, so they'd better let him through. What about tear gas? Grogan asks. Steele says no. Dancer is unstable enough that at the first whiff, he'll shoot anything that moves. Grogan says, well, they'll come up with something. And Steele's response is straightforward. Come up with $2 million.
Yeah.
Hastings says, well, he'll have to make a few phone calls first, to see if his insurance covers that sort of thing. But he doesn't finish. Steele lunges at him, grabs him by his tie, pulling it tight around his neck as he violently slams the man against the wall and barely on the edge of control tells Hastings that he doesn't care about his insurance company. The one in there they call Dancer is a road company Rambo. If he doesn't get the money, everybody's going to be a casualty. Do you understand that?
So here's a question that I have, because the script says Road Company Rambo, and I had always heard it as Rogue Company Rambo, as in he's gone rogue. I don't understand what a road company Rambo would be, because that doesn't make any sense. Is there like a term I'm missing? Because like Rogue Company Rambo, that makes sense. Like he's gone rogue, and then Rambo obviously being the film reference, but
No, road company is a slang term for a theater group that goes from place to place, works cheap.
Oh, okay.
Works for hire.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a theatrical term.
Okay. So I guess both phrases would work. That's not what I always heard. And then when I read the script, I was like, road company, what the heck does he mean by that? It is quite satisfying to see him shove Hastings up against the wall and just like basically make him pee himself, speaking of going to the bathroom, because like the look on Hastings' face here, and it's obviously, the script actually has it saying that Remington grabs him by the lapels, the anger he's had to submerge for so long boiling to the surface. This is I didn't even think of it that way. I just thought like he was pissed off because this guy's being a jerk and not caring about the civilians. But when you look back at the episode all the way through, he's been, not that he's some sort of hothead that flies off the handle, because we've established that's not really him, but both he and Laura have had to tamper down on their natural urge to confront and to sort of provoke and try to, they're trying to do something, but they're doing it covertly rather than overtly. So this would be like his boiling point. He's just, no. Well,
and just the stress of the situation, even if you dismiss
absolutely.
them having to suppress their natural inclinations as to how to deal with it. Just the stress of the situation is just, and it's been hours and it's getting more and more. And then this guy comes along and obviously doesn't even care about the people inside. All he's worried about is his $2 million in his building.
Yeah.
So Steele definitely lets him have it. But Hastings finally gets angry and yells back that even if he has to take it to the Supreme Court, he's going to break Steele's lease. Oh, wow. Scare me.
If I live through tonight, you're going to take us to court. Woo! Not the threat you think it is, sir.
Well, just then, the sounds of shots are heard coming from the agency's suite. And Steele, realizing what has just happened, swears at Doc.
Well, it's not his fault. He did exactly what he asked him to. He just
true. It's true. It's true. It's just the timing was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is. He just wasn't expecting to be out there talking to the SWAT officers. Yeah.
Well, inside the office, Dancer takes a run off towards Steele's office where the sound of the apparent gunshots come from. Laura shoves a chair into his path, causing him to fall over it. And as he does, of course, he loses his gun. Laura dives for it, grabs it, and points it at Dancer. Steele comes rushing back in. Prancer is at the door and points the agency gun at Steele and pulls the trigger, only to realize that nothing happened.
It's not loaded.
The gun's not loaded. And Steele, after the split second it takes him to realize that Prancer does, in fact, have the unloaded agency gun, punches him. Dancer, now on his feet, being covered by Laura, but the plant lady rushes into her, causing her to drop the gun. And it falls to the floor, and both Steele and Dancer make a play for it, but Dancer is closer, so he retrieves the gun and points it at Steele, stopping him in his tracks. Still lying on the floor, Dancer dares Steele to try something, telling him that he'd love to splatter that pretty face all over their room.
He keeps commenting on how pretty Steele is, and you gotta start to wonder.
Yeah, I think he spent too long in the jungle.
Yeah,
Scabbard rushes out of Steele's office, flush with excitement and expecting to be praised for his efforts, breathlessly asks, "Hey, Steele, how did I do?"
Poor guy.
Steele gives Scabbard a disgusted look, and as he's doing so, Dancer stands, gun still pointed at Steele. Scabbard's face falls as he realizes that his efforts were for naught, or worse, that he might have screwed up. Dancer, looking dead at Steele, threatens the group. One blink, one twitch, one sneeze that I don't know about, and none of you people are going to be around to read about what a terrifying time you had. We get a scan of the tension on everybody's faces, and then there's a tapping on the glass doors. It's a Santa. Prancer rushes over, opening the doors, declaring, "Blitzen, thank God!" Well, the newest Santa arrival enters, but he is clearly as drunk as a skunk as he slurs, "Sorry, I'm late." Well, what the hell? Party's still going on.
What's funny about this is that had this not happened, the party would obviously not still be going on, and Felix Creedle would have shown up to an empty building that was pitch dark, and everybody's gone home. So
Prancer taps him on the shoulder and asks, "Blitzen?" Felix Criddle, he responds. And then taking notice of the other Santas present, asks Jack, I want to ask you a question. What's going on here? I know I'm a bit late, but is that any reason to hire 3 Santa Clauses? Besides, I've been entertaining kids all afternoon and I needed a little something to steady my nerves. Hey, lighten up. Didn't anybody tell you it's Christmas Eve?
Boy,
this is one tough room.
I gotta say that, and I know I've said this before, but with this episode, the score is fantastic. It is tense and minimalistic, and it just, like, especially in those moments where somebody has a gun or they're waiting for something to happen, it really kind of like heightens that extra added element of suspense, and then it kind of like eases off when you get some of these more comedic moments with like Felix saying, lighten up, does anyone tell you it's Christmas Eve? Oh, it's great.
Well, next we see a shot of the Century Towers with the upper floors showing signs of a massive explosion. We then see Grogan, the SWAT guy, walking out of the elevator. He heads toward the end of the hall where the rest of his SWAT team is assembled, and then asks one of the men, any word from Hastings? And shakes his head no. Grogan looks at his watch, then turns to stare down the hall toward the office. Next, in the script, supply room day. Prancer helps Mildred make a fresh pot of coffee. The poor man's sweating from more than the heat. Prancer, what time is it? Mildred, 25 after 6. Almost sorry for him. 5 will get you 10. Blitzen's not going to show. From Prancer's expression, that isn't a revelation.
And yeah.
Laura's office, day. Donner peeps through the curtains at the coming day. Eva is curled up in a chair, her eyes closed, but far from asleep. Donner, you wouldn't know the time, would you? Eva, I never wear a watch. Time is a man-made obstacle. When the sun rises, I wake. When it falls, I sleep. Donner doesn't quite know what to make of this strange girl, but there are things that must be said. Donner, maybe this don't mean much to you, but I had no idea this was going to happen. And I just hope you get out of it okay. Eva, a person's life is a scripted event. From the first mewling to the last gasp, it's all been written beforehand. Donner, bleakly, that's real good to know.
I wish they had kept this bit in because, and I know I've said this for a bunch of other things and there's only so much time, but without this bit here, you get the impression that even though he attempts to fire the gun, that Prancer's maybe the more sympathetic of the two idiots because he says all this stuff about his kids and whatnot, whereas Donner is like, yeah, I needed a lawyer, a job that went south, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at Donner's behavior throughout the entire thing, Donner didn't kick Eva when she was chanting. Donner hasn't been losing his cool. Donner has actually been steadfastly kind of okay to everybody in the sense that he's not threatening. I mean, he does kind of warn them, like, if you do this, Dancer's going to do this, but he lets them go to the bathroom. He asks if the doc is okay when Steele comes out of the bathroom, and he kind of like tries to help them out, but he's like, come up with the hardware, all this other stuff. So this moment where he says to her, like, I didn't know it was going to go down this way and I hope you get out of it, it humanizes him.
He's not at heart a malicious individual. He's just in a situation where he was presented this opportunity that he thought it was an opportunity. And now he's starting to realize that things aren't exactly what they were intended to be or what he thought they were intended to be. And so he's still trying to be, he's still not a malicious person. He's trying to work with the people, but he's also realizing the reality of the situation. And he's trying to say, look, let's make it easy for all of us. This is the way it is. I'm sorry about this mess, but this is what we're dealing with. Yeah.
I think it gives him a little bit of, humanity and makes him a little bit more like he obviously never thought he was going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Well, next, Laura is perched in a window sill in Steele's office. No, thank you. I would not, never,
Well, those windows don't open unless they need them to, so
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I see something on TV, a shot down the side of a cliff or what. I'm sorry, the vertigo. Just no, I wouldn't do it. Anyway,
I'm okay if I'm looking across a skyline because we're on the 8th floor, our apartment, and I really like looking out.
Even that
across,
to me is
like, because we can see the downtown core, we can see the buildings all lit up and all the trees and the top, and it looks really pretty. But if I stand and I look down, no thanks.
Well, even just looking across like that, I'm not totally comfortable with it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I can deal with it. But yeah, if I have to start looking down, it's like, no, thank you. Anyway, Laura muses that Christmas was always one of her favorite holidays. Sometimes all of us, the whole family, would go to the mountains, run around in the snow. It was the one day in the year when everybody seemed to get along with everyone else. She pauses, quite a long pause, and then adds, even her mother, rolling her eyes as she says it.
Yeah.
She'd make a turkey. When Francis and I were old enough, we'd help in the kitchen. I love the smell of turkey. Some of those are additions. Yeah. Laura and Steele look at each other, and Laura closes her eyes for a moment, serious, almost frowning look on her face, and then says, my father, he'd always give me a box of parlays. Steele asks, what are those? Candy, she tells him. It's my favorite candy in the whole world.
So there was a fan fiction, and I went down a rabbit hole looking to find out where you would find parlays and how to get them. And they're pretty much not totally gone, but pretty gone. Apparently, from what I found, it does still exist as a broad brand, especially in India, apparently, but specific vintage parlay candies come from local U.S. makers are either discontinued or available only from small specialized shops. Because I didn't know what they were. Did you know what they were?
No, I knew it was a candy of some sort, but yeah, they're a soft, chewy nougat wrapped in caramel, pecans, and milk or semi-sweet dark chocolate.
Huh. Yeah,
you can keep the milk chocolate. Give me the dark chocolate anytime.
I'll take the nougat and the chocolate, but yeah, like dark or milk, I'm good with that.
In the script, Laura says, I'd hoard those parlays, wouldn't share them with anyone. One Christmas, I was down to my last one, saving it for just the right moment. Our dog, Susie, got it. She laughs. I could have killed that mutt. Laura, that's because chocolate is deadly to dogs.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Laura
except
observes,
if it's inferior chocolate, as we learned, because you know how like those like crappy advent calendars that you get from like Walmart or whatever, and they're like the little chocolate discs that are like really cheaply made, and the chocolate tastes terrible, has a horrible aftertaste, but the kids don't care because it's whatever.
Yeah.
Our dog Maggie, we had she was a Jack Russell wire hair terrier mix, really smart. Too smart, and she managed to pull one out from underneath the bed one year, and she managed to somehow get every single square open. She ate that entire advent calendar, the entire thing. And we came home the one day and saw her sitting there wagging her tail on top of the box, like all the little foil bits are open, and like had to call the vet and say, like, is my dog gonna die? And the vets were like, well, monitor her, and if she's showing signs of distress, obviously bring her in. That chocolate is such terrible chocolate. There's barely any actual cocoa in it, so she was fine.
Yeah, but the more dark chocolate it is, the more dangerous
the worse it is for her. Yeah, because our cat recently ate a bit of a donut that we had gotten from Tim Hortons. It was a double chocolate donut, and she jumped up on the counter, and she didn't get much of it. She just nibbled a little bit of it. But we called the vet, and they actually had to like look into a database and find out whether or not she was fine. But like, yeah. Chocolate
whether
pets,
Tim Hortons is dangerous.
Well, to cats, yeah.
Well, Laura observes that Christmas time doesn't really hold any special memories for Steele, does it? And in the script, Steele starts out by saying, you know that story about the bad boy who gets a lump of coal in his Christmas stocking? There were times I would have killed for a lump of coal. London winters can be very unforgiving. I remember one. I saw this father and his son. They were walking in the snow, hand in hand. The boy was about my age, 10 or 11. He had a sled, and I don't know why, I followed them. I told myself it was for the sled. I was going to snatch it from the boy, sell it for a couple of quid, see if I could buy myself a place to kip that night. But that wasn't it at all. I just wanted to see. They went up the steps, small house, nothing fancy. And here, Steele tilts his head. His gaze shifts from staring at nothing into staring at an image from the past. I mean, it's like he's actually seeing this.
This is good.
Says, if I hung over the railings, I could look into the front room. There was a Christmas tree. presents, not a lot. People smiling, all warm and loving. Laura quietly asks what he did. And equally quietly, Steele answers, threw a rock through the window and ran like hell. And after a moment, he laughs. And in the background, we see Laura smile.
I love this for a number of reasons. This is a similar monologue to her monologue to Max about watching Atomic Man with her dad, in the sense that he's talking about a memory from his childhood to somebody, to Laura, which this is unique. He almost never does this. We've heard him talk about his childhood or his past to other people, but rarely has he ever opened up to Laura like this. And this is really, really something different that he hasn't done before. And then to get lost in it the way he does, and the fact that this is not a pleasant memory, or it shouldn't be. It's a memory of him out on the street, cold, hungry, and seeing a family that he will never ever have. And instead of being saddened by it, he's remembering it fondly, because as a little boy, he looked through that window and saw that families were capable of being loving and caring at Christmas, and that maybe was comforting to him in some way.
I don't think at the time it was necessarily.
No. I agree.
What he's looking at now is he's looking at that memory, and it's transformed over time.
Yeah.
Because prior to this, that memory would not have been pleasant. But now he looks at that and he sees, instead of seeing something that he'll never achieve, now he sees the possibility.
Or he sees what everybody else sees about Christmas, because he wouldn't have seen that from his position on the streets. And I think when he says, I followed him, I just wanted to see, there would have been an element of curiosity in his younger self that obviously didn't just take the sled and run with it. He followed the boy because there was a part of him that wondered, wait a minute, do other kids have families? Do they have happiness? Like, are they warm? And so he just wanted to see what that looked like. And then, of course, was filled with rage, threw a rock through the window, ran like hell. But like you just said, he's now thinking of it, and there's an almost nostalgic feeling to it, because he's realizing that was something that he wanted, but didn't maybe know it then. And he knows it now, and that it's just really, it's sweet, and it's a really good moment. I'm glad that they had the episode slow down for this.
Yeah. Well, Linda. Laura gets up out of the windowsill, smirk on her face, slowly walking over to the corner of the desk, and then she sits down on it. She doesn't look at him at first, and it's almost as if she doesn't want to laugh, and that by looking at him, she's going to lose that control that's keeping her from laughing. And she's not laughing at him. She's laughing at what she's thinking.
No, at the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then she looks at him and nods her head, and it tells him, one flexible flyer coming up.
That is so sweet. Ah.
And after a moment, he leans forward, his arms shoot out toward her. He takes her head into his hands, and he pulls her to himself and gives her a deeply emotional kiss.
The whole thing is so sweet. And I like to imagine that they went up to, like, I don't know, somewhere that has snow and went sledding the next day. That would be nice. That would be, write that fan fiction, somebody.
Well, in the reception office, Allison is sitting on the sofa, and she appears to be on the verge of tears as drunk Santa Felix sleeps with his head in her lap. Dancer walks over behind Mildred's desk, where Frank is sitting, leaning forward over the desk, arms stretched out in front of him, head down. Mildred comes over, Prancer accompanying her with fresh coffee. Addressing Frank, Dancer says, "Hey, Eggnog, what time you got?" Eggnog rises, looks at his watch, and slowly reports 20 to 7. Dancer cheerfully says, "One way or another, it won't be long now."
So here's my question, because we know that none of them have been told the full story of what's going on, right? But Dancer's obviously been told the most, or at least enough that he thinks that Blitzen's going to show up and save them. But he's clearly planning on killing these people should the money not show up in time, in which case the bombs are going to start going off. Is he just like cool with sitting there and dying if Blitzen doesn't show?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
cool.
so. Yeah, he's just that's how off kilter he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Well, in the script at this point, Jack says, "If I ever make it to New Year's, I'm going to lay off the sauce. That's my one and only resolution." Well, that and being nicer to Judith. Maybe we'll go away, just Judith and me, get to know one another again, which I like that. That should have been left in. Anyway, Allison.
I think he and Judith should be seeing a marriage counselor.
Well, that's probably true too, but
to be talking to somebody.
Anyway, Allison suddenly stands up, knocking drunk Santa to the floor, and desperately declares, "I want a baby." Mildred, Jack, Prancer, and Dancer all look at her, taken aback at the sudden, unexpected, and totally out of context announcement.
Yeah.
From the floor, drunk Santa interjects, "Just one more, Jake. I got to entertain some idiots in Century City."
I love this line. This is one of my favorite lines because, like, just I got to entertain some idiots in Century City.
Well, disgusted, Allison steps over him and moves toward the desk where the rest of the crowd is gathered. In an apparently sleep-deprived and stress-induced rant, she insists, "I know what you're thinking. Allison Green's got it made. She's the perfect woman of the 80s. And why shouldn't you? I do all the correct 80s things. I read Cosmo, shop at Bloomingdale's, drive a Beamer. So you tell me, can any of you tell me why I am so unfulfilled? Why do I feel so empty, so meaningless? I was going to work from home today, Christmas Day. I was going to eat my 300-calorie frozen noodles Romanoff and try to come up with a new way to sell feminine hygiene products to people who don't want them and don't need them. I'm warm, loving. I want to give, nurture something that has some meaning in life, something worthwhile. And now I'm going to die before I even have a chance. I want a baby." And Dancer, always one to not only revel in the misery of others, but also to torment others who are in the throes of their own misery, tells her to come over here, sweetie. I think I can help you out.
Okay. Putting the disgustingness of that statement aside, I just want to deconstruct her little speech here for a second, because I have some issues with her reasoning. Okay. I don't have any issue with somebody deciding they want a child or deciding that they don't feel fulfilled and want to be a parent or what have you. Cool.
Okay.
Again, you do you, right? It does sort of position working versus being a mother as an either or, which I don't love because, and I get it, it's the 80s. These attitudes still sort of existed in a lot of ways. But the fact that she then goes on to say, where is it? She says, "Why I'm so unfulfilled, so empty, and so meaningless." And then she kind of like, "I'm warm and loving. I want to give, nurture something." That it seems like she's wanting a baby to fill the hole in her life because she's been so consumed with materialism and looking the part and being the perfect 80s woman or whatever it is. That's not really the best reason to have a child. Like it doesn't seem like she wants a child because she wants to be a parent. It seems like she wants a child because she feels like she's missing something and she thinks that that's going to slot nicely into her perfect life and fit into that little hole.
It's almost like it's almost like a young girl wanting a doll so she can pretend to be a mommy.
Exactly. And I'm just thinking that's maybe not the best. And then she goes on to say she was gonna work from home and eat her 300-calorie frozen noodles Romanoff. First of all, barf. But also that she says and to come up with a new way to sell feminine hygiene products if people don't want them or even need them. I'm glad they clarify later on that deodorant is what she's talking about, because like, I'm sorry, some feminine hygiene products are kind of necessary.
Yeah, they're definitely
like,
handy from time to time.
She's talking period products. Like, what do you think they're going to do without them? And even deodorant, I would argue, is socially fairly necessary in the sense that people tend to back away if you have, extreme body odor and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've picked up people that smell like they're 1 week away from their annual shower.
Right? Like it just, statement I found rather odd because it's like, some of these products we do need. Like I get that makeup and stuff might not be a necessity, but so yeah, that whole statement of like, I feel empty, so I want a baby is like, that's maybe not the best reason to have a child.
Yeah, that's not the best motivation. Yes,
It's not gonna go well for you if you think you're just gonna get a doll like you said and be a mom. But then Dancer, I love her response.
Yuck.
Uh,
We get a shot of Grogan out in the hall. He looks at his watch and then commands his men to saddle up. Back inside the office, Dancer is looking at the watch on Jack's wrist. He drops Jack's wrist and informs everyone that it looks like they all get a free trip to the promised land.
and he gets blown up. Cool.
And just then the phone rings. Dancer picks up the receiver, listens, and then says, "Well, you got in just under the wire, pal." He hangs up the phone and says to no one in particular, "The money's here." He looks around, then points to the plant lady and commands, "You go get it." "Me?" she asks. "Why me? I don't want to go out there." Steele offers to go, reminding them that he was the one who established contact with the officers. "No," Dancer says sharply. "She goes." He walks over to her and grabs her purse and yanks it out of her hand and throws it aside. And distraught, she cries, "My purse! Everything I own is in it." And she rushes Dancer, who grabs her and picks her up and carries her toward the door before dropping her back on the floor.
I'm guessing that taking her purse was literally the only part of the plan that was not going as planned.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Because obviously doing so allows Laura and Steele to figure out who she really is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably the only reaction that she has that is genuine. I mean, everything she owns isn't in there, but like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Prancer and Donner push Plant Lady out through the doors, and then once in the hall, she throws up her hands and cries, "Don't shoot! Please don't shoot!" And she begins walking toward the SWAT team. Prancer demands of Dancer, "Well, now that we've got the dough, how do we get out of there with it?"
Yeah.
"That was Blitzen's end, wasn't it?" Laura taunts. "How was he going to do it?" Donner asks. "Plastic explosives," Dancer suggests. "Tie him to the hostages with pressure point detonators, like hand grenades without a pin. The cop drops them. The hostages blow sky high." Steele taunts Dancer, saying that it seems like that's a change of plan that's come around. And Donner piles on, "Come on, Dancer, you're running this operation. Give us our marching orders." Well, frustrated and stressed that things are not only not going according to plan, but that they seem to have been double-crossed and set up.
Yep.
And in the words of the script, a slight fissure appears in Dancer's heretofore admirable control. Dancer waves his hand at Donner in a back-off motion and demanding that his co-conspirators wait a minute. He's thinking. Steele continues to try to tighten the screws, telling Dancer to give it up. The strings run out. Dancer, his rationality starting to completely crumble, tells Steele, "I hope you like Santa, pretty boy, because it's the last thing you're ever going to see." He raises his gun, pointing at Steele, trying to work up his anger and desperation enough to give himself the emotional justification to shoot. And the phone rings. Dancer freezes. His eyes dart back and forth, the sound of the phone seemingly robbing him of the mental tornado in his mind and confusing him. The phone rings again. "Answer it," he demands, of no one in particular. Laura answers, and then after a moment gives out with a shock, "What?" Dancer demands to know what's being said. Laura says that the plant lady says she was instructed to take the money down to the lobby. Agitated, Dancer hollers, "He didn't tell her to do that." Laura speaks to the person on the other end of the phone that the plant lady was supposed to bring the money back to the office. Dancer totally loses it. Livid with confusion and anger, he yells, "What the hell is going on here?" Next, we see a female hand pressing the elevator buttons for every floor from 11 to the basement, 11 to 1, basement and ground. My question is, why would she push 11 when they're on the 11th floor?
Good point.
Then we see the plant lady walk out of the elevator, briefcase in hand. She walks down the hall to a door marked maintenance, which she unlocks, steps through, and then closes behind her. Back in the office, Mildred is emptying the plant lady's handbag onto the desk as Steele, Frank, Laura, and Allison observe. In it, they find a metal box with an antenna up, a remote control detonator the plant lady used to set off the explosion when she went into the bathroom. They also find a tape recorder with a tape with a man's voice instructing that when the money arrives, select the plant lady, no matter how much she protests. When Laura hears the tape, she turns to Dancer and asks, "Is that Blitzen?" Stunned, dazed, and confused, Dancer can only nod yes. Confused, Allison asks, why record something you're going to say on the telephone? Well, Steele has an idea. He grabs the recorder, plays with the knob, and then rewinds the tape and replays the tape. Only this time it's the plant lady's voice, which
I'm going to call bullcrap on this a little bit, because you can absolutely, right?
Pick the plant. Yeah.
Because if you watch, like, and I used to have one of these, the movie Home Alone 2, where Kevin checks into the hotel by recording his voice saying, hello, I'd like a hotel room, please. With a large bed, blah, 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 and a little refrigerator. And then he plays it on the slower speed. It does sound deeper, and it does sound like a male adult, but it's slower. Hello, I'd like a hotel room, please. And the voice that told them to select the plant lady, no matter how she protests, just sounded like a guy speaking at a normal speed.
Exactly. Yeah. Now there are pitch changing softwares that are available.
Were they available then, though?
But they weren't available then for the most part. And they definitely weren't available in a portable device like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that would be recording studio level equipment.
Exactly. What would make more sense would her to just have a man record that and then have that on the tape. But obviously there needs to be some way of telling us, the audience, that it's really Eva.
Yeah. But for example, even in the early 70s, mid 70s, in a studio, they would change the tape speed when recording. David Cassidy, when he was doing the Partridge Family recordings, they played the tape that he sang with, because they had all the instruments and such recorded.
Right.
And he would sing with it, but it was slowed down. And so he would sing it at the pitch and speed that it was playing back, which was slower than it was intended to be. And then when they played it back at the regular speed, it made his voice sound a little bit higher and younger. But it changed the speed as well. So, yeah. Anyway, Laura explains to Allison that when you record something, you can change the speed of the tape and make it sound like something you're not, a man. Well, Donner and Prancer look at each other with an uh-oh look, and Dancer still simply looks confused. Mildred states the now obvious fact that the plant lady was Blitzen.
Yeah, he's Blitzen.
Phone rings again, and Steele answers. It's the police captain. After a moment, he tells everybody that the plant lady never reached the lobby. Steele informs the police captain that the little lady with the $2 million is also the author of this Kafkaesque drama. And he hangs up and tells Laura that the police are starting a floor-by-floor search.
So for those who missed that reference, Franz Kafka was a German-language Jewish Czech writer and novelist born in Prague. And his work is essentially just very, very weird. I mean, it according to Wikipedia, fuses elements of realism and the fantastique, and typically features isolated protagonists facing bizarre or surreal predicaments and incomprehensible socio-bureaucratic powers. The term Kafkaesque has entered the lexicon to describe situations like those depicted in his writings. His best-known works include the novella The Metamorphosis and the novels The Trial and The Castle. And I don't know about the other two, but if I remember correctly, The Metamorphosis was a book about a guy who's like changing into a bug. And it's meant to sort of like be a metaphor for transformation and change and some other stuff. But like, yeah, anytime you hear somebody say something is Kafkaesque, they're usually describing something that's, either weird, bizarre, or an otherwise like, yeah. So that's where he's going with that.
The kind of thing that you would see in a drug-induced paranoid hallucination.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, Laura turns to Dancer and, exercising poor judgment of the situation, dismissively tells the man that he's been had and that she never intended for any of the Santas to escape. And turning back toward Mildred and the others, she asks, but how's she going to do it? I mean, there's a sea of blue out there. And after a moment, both Laura and Steele realize that's it.
Yep.
Next, we see the maintenance closet door that the plant lady had earlier entered. It opens, and she walks out in a motor officer's uniform, complete with helmet and dark sunglasses.
And the duffel bag.
I jumped ahead. She looks around and then turns to walk away, and we see that the briefcase has been exchanged for a medium-sized duffel bag. Thanks for spoiling the surprise. Anyway, she reaches the door. She reaches the door to the stairway and enters. Back in the office, Laura moves behind Steele to the phone on the desk and picks up the receiver and begins to dial. The dancer points his gun at her and tells her to put it down. Shocked, Laura exclaims, "But she'll get away." "I want her to," Dancer says. "If it's the last thing I do, I'm going to hunt her down, and then I'm going to squeeze that $2 million out of her penny by penny, or now nickel by nickel."
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys, because we lost the penny years ago. We haven't had a penny in, I can't remember when it was that they got rid of the penny in Canada, but it's been gone for quite some time, and now you've joined us. Sorry.
And
I don't mean to be gleeful.
But you are. And as he's saying this, he gestures with his free hand, almost as if physically squeezing her neck.
Yeah.
And he looks toward Allison and then moves toward her and then grabs her, pulling one of her arms behind her with his free hand, holding the other tight against him, holding her tight against him with the other hand as it also holds the gun. He tells her, "Hello, sweetie. Let's you and me see about making that. I mean, let's see about you."
No.
Let's see if you and me and those 200-calorie dinners could stop a bullet. And he slowly begins walking her backward toward the door as he says it. But Dancer apparently doesn't have as much control of the situation or of Allison as he thinks he does, because she suddenly yells, "No!" as she lurches forward and free of his grip. Mildred, who suddenly has a pot of coffee in her hand from somewhere, swings the pot toward Dancer, splashing the hot coffee in his face.
She had said she made a fresh pot earlier, but she wasn't holding it. And you would think that it would be slightly less, like it wouldn't
slightly less hot, yes,
be quite as hot as it was, unless she was keeping it on some sort of warming platform. But yeah, I guess it would just be, it would be shocking in general just to get hit in the eyes with coffee, and then you might still drop your gun whether it's
but I mean it's probably on a hot plate. Most coffee pots like that have a hot plate underneath them, so it would still be hot. But yeah, the question is, how did she get it in her hand that quickly from where she was standing? Anyway, he drops his gun, grabs his face in pain, and then falls writhing to the floor. Donner and Prancer take the opportunity to try to make their escape, but they are thwarted when Steele clobbers Donner with a punch to the face, and Prancer takes Laura's elbow to the gut. As the two try to gather their wits and deal with their sudden newfound pain, Mildred runs over to the gun that Dancer dropped and picks it up.
Oh, Mildred.
And unflinchingly aiming the gun at Dancer, or at Donner and Prancer, Mildred tells them, "One blink, one twitch, one sneeze I don't know about, and you'll be home for Christmas in a box."
And I think she would do it. I honestly think at this point, Mildred would not have any hesitation shooting him. And I love it. I love this for Mildred, because she saves the day. She gets her moment. This is a really good Mildred episode.
And I like the fact that she quotes Dancer.
Exactly. She throws his words back at him. It's awesome.
Well, Steele tells her, "Nicely put," and then he and Laura start toward the door. Laura pauses on her way out to instruct Mildred to call the lobby and tell the police what to look for. Downstairs in the lobby, we see the plant lady in her police costume walk through the myriad of officers unnoticed. A moment later, the elevator doors open to reveal Laura and Steele. Instantly, all guns are pointed their way. Laura and Steele raise their hands, and Steele calls out, "Remington, Steele!" And Laura adds, "I'm with him."
She doesn't. It's another unnamed woman situation. Because if she says Laura Holt, it's like, okay, who are you? But I'm with him.
I'm with stupid.
Yeah.
They step out of the elevator into the lobby. The officers relax and return their weapons to their neutral positions. Laura and Steele begin walking through the lobby, looking around as they do. At the sound of a motorcycle starting, they look off intently in the direction that the plant lady had left. Steele asks Laura, "How are your instincts?" "Same as yours," she responds. "Let's go." And they take off running. Outside, we see the plant lady ride off on one of the police motorcycles. Steele and Laura run toward another motorcycle. Steele gets on in the driver position, Laura behind him, and they take off after the plant lady. And either the Los Angeles police need to revise their policies and procedures, or there's a couple of motor officers that are in deep doo-doo from leaving the keys to the rides in their bikes.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny.
Well, Steele and Laura pursue the plant lady, the chase quickly taking them through the residential neighborhoods of the town. Plant lady, though realizing that Steele and Laura are pursuing, doesn't seem to be making any serious effort in getting ahead.
Also, Century City Towers are not near a residential
No,
area
it's
at
not.
all. I've been there.
Yes. So, I mean, that's deep in the heart
Yeah.
of the business area.
Like, yeah.
So, obviously, this chase was edited in sequence.
Yeah, heavily edited because they're in like a housing suburb. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yes.
That's not right.
Yeah. and obviously took a lot more time than we're allowed to see here.
Yeah. Yeah.
After a while, Steele pulls up beside the plant lady, so the two are riding side by side. Laura stands and then jumps from the bike with Steele onto the back of the bike with the plant lady. She reaches around to wrestle for the controls, and in the process, they begin heading directly for a Christmas tree lot, complete with fake snow, not only on the trees, all around as well, and a banner stretched across the front reading, "Christmas trees, Christmas trees." The plant lady and Laura ride over the curb, through the banner, and drop the bike into a fake snowbank amidst the trees. Laura and the plant lady struggle for a few minutes until Laura throws the plant lady onto the ground where she's miraculously knocked out.
Yeah.
And Laura gives her a mock salute of 2 peace signs.
The peace signs. I do like the peace signs. That's fun.
Yeah. We have a time jump, and we are back in the office. From the script, Jack Denver and Allison Green gather their belongings. A hungover Felix, the drunk Santa, beard half on, half off, stands at Mildred's desk, busily writing something. A pair of paramedics, would that be John and Roy, wheel a gurney containing Dr. S. Wilson Scabbard out of Remington's office, followed by Laura, Remington, and Mildred. Scabbard, if you're ever in Encino, don't look me up. I'm going to close that branch office. A man's got to stop and smell the flowers. Remington, perhaps and listen to Sid Vicious. Jack, now in a considerably better frame of mind, tells Laura and Steele that, all things considered, it wasn't such a bad Christmas party. He wouldn't mind making it an annual event. Laura laughs, Steele grimaces. But next year, he's going to bring Judith.
I got to say, please don't. She sounds like an awful human being.
I'm
not
she
saying
sounds
he's
like
much
an awful
better.
human. Oh, she sounds like an awful human being, but I got a feeling she's not nearly as bad as what he's describing.
No, he's not much better. I'm guessing
that's
he's half sauced most of the time.
That could be true too. Anyway, Steele applauds his comment, and then he and Jack shake hands, and Jack kisses Laura on the cheek and then leaves. Drunk Felix, Santa Felix, finishes what he's writing, then turns it off and gives it to Mildred. "What's this?" she asks. "My bill," he informs her. "But don't worry, since I was late, I only charged you for the time I actually spent here."
I am impressed that he was there this whole time without realizing he was in a hostage situation.
I'm with Mildred on this. I mean, I'm surprised that he has the balls to bill him.
Because he doesn't realize he was in a hostage situation. Like he's that drunk still.
Well, he thinks he was entertaining, I'm sure. Yeah, but I wouldn't pay that bill.
Well, no, they're obviously not going to pay the bill. It's just funny that he doesn't even realize what he survived.
Allison approaches Steele and Laura and tells them that she has some things to clean up in her office. And Laura's astounded. "You're still going to work today?" "Not on your life," she assures Laura. "I'm going upstairs to type my resignation. Hey, there's a whole world out there that has nothing to do with deodorants. Thank the good Lord." They exchange Christmas well wishes and she leaves.
I get that everybody, that people might have a life-changing epiphany when they're in situations like this, but quitting your job with literally zero to fall back on is stupid. She's like, "I'm going to type up my resignation." Maybe. I get it. But I get that maybe she wants to do something else, but
it's certainly not the best move in most circumstances. But I mean,
unless you got to have just
do it. I did it once, and I didn't have any savings. I'd been promoted at work. I didn't want the promotion. I told them I'd give it a year, and if I didn't like it, they could take the promotion back, and I would go back to my old position. Right. And they said, "Sure." Well, after the year was over, I said, "I don't like it. I want my old position back." And they said, "No." I said, "Fine, I quit." And, I didn't have anything to fall back on, but yeah, you know, at a certain point, you just got to do what you got to do.
Maybe it's just me. I'm a coward. I'd be too scared to do something like that because I'd be like afraid of ending up.
I would not normally do that sort of thing myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I go for the sure bet. I'm, which sounds kind of funny since I'm driving rideshare and there's no sure bet there, but yeah, I'm pretty risk averse, but
I am too.
there's just times you got to do it. Anyway, Mildred
you do you, Allison. No shade here. You do what you need to.
Mildred steps over to join Steele and Laura. Or is it Doris stepping over to join Pierce and Stephanie? Because we're breaking the fourth wall here. Even though the script says they're
supposed
not,
to be saying it to
they
the
really
people.
are.
They are. Yeah. It's the only part of the episode I don't really like because it feels unnecessarily corny.
Yeah, I don't like it when shows do this, you know, for the Christmas episode and such. But anyway, they look directly at the camera and the viewing audience as Stephanie wishes Joyeux Noel, Pierce wishes Feliz Navidad, and Doris wishes Merry Christmas, everyone. Pierce blows a kiss, and then we freeze.
Yeah. Only part of the episode I'm like, it's cringy because it's just like, leaning into the cheese. The rest of it I love.
You know, it's one thing when somebody like Jack Benny or Bob Hope or whatever, you know, when you're in a comedy, doing a comedy bit.
Like a variety show. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially if, like in the days where they were doing live television or live radio, something would go wrong and they would break the fourth wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, okay, people,
might as well.
Things went south on us here. Going to make a comment about it. That's one thing. But when it's like this, it's never worked for me.
I'm glad it was in the tag because at least then you can, it's like a bookend and you can just be like, you could even just turn it off before that, you know, like
really.
Turn the episode off. That's the end. But yeah, it's the overall though. This is, I gotta say, one of my favorite episodes of the whole series. I've watched this episode over and over and over at Christmas because it, like I said, it has that perfect blend of like, it's not cheesy aside from that tags, you know, little bit at the end. It's Christmassy enough, but it's not too Christmassy to like give me cavities because it's so sweet. It's got moments of humor, moments of character development. It's got a like great story for Mildred. You've got all these guest stars. I love it.
I could take it or leave it.
Oh, why? It's so good.
I just no.
Okay, everybody, email us and tell Eric why he's wrong.
I'm not wrong. Anyway, I've got nothing else.
No, other than you're wrong. That's pretty much all I had to say.
Anyway, website, SteeleWatching.com, where you'll find show notes, ways to support the show financially with donations, ways to subscribe. Now I'm stepping on your stuff there. Sorry about that. Show notes,
okay.
Amazon links to Lost Patrol, Shanghai Cobra, Taking a Pelham 123, and other resources such as...
And Rambo. Don't forget Rambo. He mentions Rambo.
Fine.
Sorry. You could even link Die Hard there because let's face it.
It's not a Christmas movie. Just because it happens at Christmas doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
You just admitted you haven't even seen it. So
you doesn't
need to watch
matter.
It, and then we'll talk. Okay. Email us and tell us whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Wait, what am I supposed to be talking about?
Resources.
Oh, such as. Well, you already said the Facebook page.
If
Twitter.
It's not on Hallmark, it's not a Christmas movie.
Remind me to tell you about the Hallmark movie. I was there while they were filming in Nova Scotia because that was funny. Anyway, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram account, as well as the officially unofficial Steele Watchers Facebook group where we hang out, we talk about the episodes. We have people posting fan fiction. We have people posting videos. We have usually when we are about to drop an episode, somebody in the group will start posting little snippets from the episode and starting discussion ahead of time, which has been really awesome to see. So yeah, join us and have some fun.
Next episode, Steele on the Air. A good episode.
It is a good episode. One. Yeah.
So I guess that's it. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody. Eric and Sara here. Just a quick announcement to let you know that, yes, we do appreciate everyone who listens, participates, and supports the podcast in whatever way you do. But we wanted to give an extra thank you to those who are so graciously giving to be monthly financial supporters.
We are making live streams of our recording sessions available to anyone who is a monthly financial supporter. So not only can you watch us live as we record our podcast episodes, you will be getting access to the raw, behind-the-scenes, unedited version of episodes before they get officially released.
And Sarah, does that include our mistakes and screw-ups and our humiliating? Yes,
Every
it does.
single one of them.
Every single one of them, yes. So again, this is just an extra thank you to those who are going above and beyond. But whether you choose to become a monthly financial supporter or not, we still love you. We want to say we thank you for your support, your encouragement, and your feedback.
If you want to become a monthly financial supporter, please visit our website at www.SteeleWatching.com to sign up.
Hey, everybody. Eric and Sara here. Just a quick announcement to let you know that, yes, we do appreciate everyone who listens, participates, and supports the podcast in whatever way you do. But we wanted to give an extra thank you to those who are so graciously giving to be monthly financial supporters.
We are making live streams of our recording sessions available to anyone who is a monthly financial supporter. So not only can you watch us live as we record our podcast episodes, you will be getting access to the raw, behind-the-scenes, unedited version of episodes before they get officially released.
And Sarah, does that include our mistakes and screw-ups and our humiliating? Yes,
Every
it does.
Single one of them.
Every single one of them, yes. So again, this is just an extra thank you to those who are going above and beyond. But whether you choose to become a monthly financial supporter or not, we still love you. We want to say we thank you for your support, your encouragement, and your feedback.
If you want to become a monthly financial supporter, please visit our website at www.SteeleWatching.com to sign up.